That'll be item 8.1, a public hearing to consider an appeal of Planning Commission project approval for the Maverik fueling station and convenience store project.
Okay, before you begin your presentation, Kira, I would like for the city attorney to provide for the record. We had received a public comment in terms of a possibility of a conflict of interest on my part. So can the city attorney please provide the city's opinion on this?
Thank you, Mary. Yes, we did receive a letter from the appellant in this matter alleging that you had a conflict of interest given your role in a professional association. I've reviewed the letter. I find that it does not substantiate a conflict of interest. It's very general and somewhat speculative, and it doesn't show that there is a reasonably foreseeable direct and material financial impact on you for participating in this matter. I don't find a reason that you need to recuse yourself. Thank you.
All right, thank you for providing that for the record. You may continue.
Good evening, Madam Chair and council members. My name is Kira Killingsworth, and I'm the project planner on the Maverik Fueling Station and Convenience Store Appeal Project. On September 18th, 2025, the Planning Commission heard at a regular meeting a conditional use permit and a design review, and they heard verbal comment as well as written comment of many concerns regarding that a truck stop, traffic, close proximity to schools, neighborhood, parks, and crime. After deliberation, the commission approved the project with an added condition that the extended duration of any parking, no cars can be parked at the same location more than 90 minutes. The proposal is for a conditional use permit and a minor design review to operate a fueling station with a convenience store, 2 canopies. There will be parking, lighting, and landscaping. And staff had found that it was consistent. Found it that it was consistent with the zoning code and general plan of CEQA 5183, 15183, 15162, as well exempt from 15332 infill development. And staff will be going more into that in depth. The project is located at the corner of East Stockton Boulevard and Grant Line Road. It is an existing commercial property, regional commercial. There is an existing building and it will be demolished. It's surrounded by other commercial and industrial properties. It is adjacent to a vacant undeveloped land, but that is zoned commercial. There is no zone of open space and agriculture in the area. The nearest neighborhood is 0.7 miles north of the site. The nearest park is 0.9 miles, and the nearest school is 1.5 miles. The property is 2.93 acres, and all public utilities will remain. The convenience store is about 5,951 square feet. It will be about 29 feet tall with a tower, but overall the majority of the building will be about 19 feet. There will be 34 standard parking spaces that are 9 by 19 for passenger vehicles. Again, there will be two canopies, and one canopy will be 20 pumps for standard passenger vehicles, and then there will be another canopy that will have 5 pumps for RV and trucks. There is an RV dump. There was a traffic analysis created for the project. There will be 2 driveways from East Stockton Boulevard, right turn in and right turn out, and a shared driveway for any future development. There's new landscaping surrounding the whole property as well as a storm drain. The colors will be a variety of earth tone colors and a mixture of materials, stone, CMU, fiberboard, and then Maverik's branded color of red. The appellant filed a timely appeal on September 29, 2025 with 3 grounds of appeal. Their first ground is at the September 18, 2025 Planning Commission. The appellant believes that the commission violated the Brown Act. The second ground is that the project is not exempt per 15332, and that the project is not consistent with the general plan zoning code and the bike pedestrian trails master plan, and staff will go in more into detail with all 3 grounds. So the first ground at the Planning Commission, The secretary reads a statement that welcomes and appreciates encouraged participation and goes into details of that you complete a speaker card and give it to the clerk. The clerk raised her hand and informed that anybody could speak. There were 10 speaker cards, only 9 spoke at the podium. Each had 3 minutes to speak. Before the September 18, 2025 Planning Commission staff report is published 2 weeks in advance, as well as a notice was mailed 2 weeks prior. The notice was mailed to 1,200 feet from the radius from the project site, and the standard is actually 500. So the staff did more than the standard in the code. The chair closed the public comment, and as no other body expressed that they wanted to speak at the meeting. Secondly, staff finds that it is consistent with 15332, and it's a 2.93 acres. It's 4 parcels. It's surrounded by a variety of industrial and commercial assembly uses. To the west, there once was a fueling station that has since been demolished for State Route 99 interchange. Ascent environmental consultant reviewed and determined no habitat is presented at the site. And staff has found that it is consistent with the regional commercial and shopping center as a conditional use permit is required under the Elk Grove Municipal Code, Table 23.27, and it confirms to the development standards. A noise was reviewed as part of the code. All outdoor speakers and video of the pump stations will be turned off daily between 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. It is in our code, but staff also provided a condition to make sure that these are required. As I said earlier, traffic analysis were prepared for the project. It is below the VMT threshold. The nearest ecological reserve is a mile south of the site, and Casumas River is 1.5 miles south of the site. An air quality assessment was completed and is below the threshold and set forth under the air quality district. And as mentioned, there is an existing building that will be demolished, and it does have existing utilities and public services, and those will remain available. As mentioned earlier, it is regional commercial, which is usually located near intersections of 2 or more roadways. Staff still believes that it complies with policy land use 2.4 and economic development 1.5 as it it complies with the infill as well as a prospective business for the area. It meets the floor area ratio of 0.04, which the maximum is 1.0. And it did go to the Trails Committee on January 27th, 2025. It will provide a multi-use trail on Grant Line Road, as well as an existing bike lane on East Stockton Boulevard, and the trail recommended approval. With that, staff finds that it still is exempt from 15332 infill development, as well as no further environmental is required since it's consistent with the general plan and zoning code of 15183 and 1562. And staff continues to support the project and recommend that the City Council deny the appeal and uphold the Planning Commission decision to approve the project. Staff is available for any questions, as well as Pat Angel from Ascent Environment is available. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your presentation. At this time, I will declare that the public hearing is now open and invite the appellant to speak. Is the appellant? Okay, there you go.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Ed Yates. I'm a land use, environmental, and open government attorney in San Francisco. A couple of things before I start. Could you tell me again, Mayor, what our timing is for the presentation tonight?
We typically don't have a time limit, but we ask that you be concise so that we can move on with other presenters as well.
Okay.
I don't have a time limit, but just be mindful.
Okay. I had the impression it was 10 minutes or so, but I'll do my best. Thank you. So I am a lawyer in San Francisco, and I do have a hearing disability. So if you do have any questions for me, please feel free to speak up. I encourage that. This is your chance to yell at a lawyer, so you may not get that again sometime soon. My office is in San Francisco, but I do a lot of work in Sacramento County, and especially this area of Sacramento County in the city of Elk Grove, city of Galt, because there are a lot of industrial facilities here in these two towns. I do a lot of Clean Water Act work, enforcement work of the Federal Clean Water Act, and we have an advantage over you. We, the council and the city, we have our own technical experts who we can hire, who we retain to be able to comment on facilities, discharges, and emissions of contaminants. City of Elk Grove, as fine a city as it is, doesn't quite have the resources to have those kind of experts to oversee an applicant who is as large, powerful as a national corporation like Maverik. And so what I'm going to kind of jump to the end. Our suggestion really for the evening, I have several other things to say, is that you retain one of these or two or three of these experts, toxicologists, geologists, toxic air contaminant, air quality specialists, and have them as a third party to oversee Maverik's consultants. I'm not sure exactly what the scenario is, who hired who, but even when a city does the hiring and is overseeing the consultants, they still essentially work for Maverik because Maverik is paying. But if you hire a third-party consultant, which you could also bill to Maverik, that ensures that the public will be able to get a expert view of what is needed in the application materials and in the environmental review documents. So with that, I'm going to get back to the first issue, which was discussed earlier by the city attorney and Mayor Singh. And we submitted a request that Mayor Singh recuse herself from this deliberation of this Maverik approval. And the reason is because Mayor Singh is the president, excuse me if I get the terminology wrong, but of the American Petroleum Convenience Store Association. Mayor Singh is not simply a figurehead or a organizational or nonprofit community organization. This is a lobbying group that lobbies the United States government, the state government, and thus her role in her other life, for which she receives approximately, she's reported under Form 700, $100,000 a year, is as essentially somebody who lobbies for, who pushes for, who represents convenience stores and gas stations. So what does the Political Reform Act say about this? What does the Fair Political Practice Commission rules say about this? Well, they say a lot more than what Mr. Hobbs just said. They are not, the Fair Political Practice Commission rules do not just require a recusal for a local government official when there's a direct material interest. They also, where there's an indirect financial interest, or where there's a appearance of impropriety. And here, Mayor Singh is remunerated by this industry. Maverik is in this industry. Whether they're a member or not is not relevant to me at this point, because Maverik can join later if they're happy with the results of this hearing. Maverik can contribute to Mayor Singh's reelection campaign or her campaign for state assembly. All of this brings out an appearance of impropriety. It also violates common law bias rules, which can be very much more prohibitive, where there is a probability of bias, that is fairness. Can this person make a decision on this subject, or do they have too many ties to whoever one of the parties? And in this situation, we think that the bias rules have also been violated. We also think the city has not been practicing open government about this. We disagree with how I believe it's Ms. Killingsworth, phrased what happened at the Planning Commission, but our understanding is that several citizens were not able to speak because they didn't fill out a speaker card and they just left. So they didn't understand what was going on. They may never have been before a planning commission before. I was a former deputy county counsel. I've been before hundreds of these. Every time that happens, the chair or the mayor or the president simply says, if you want to speak, fill out the card and get in the back of the line. I've never seen somebody who was told you couldn't speak and had to walk away. And the second aspect of the planning commission meeting was that the staff didn't put the documents online, the supportive documents for the categorical exemption and the conditional use permit. They withheld them until Mr. Kasuni, my co-counsel, has asked where they were, and they were supplied. Well, we put them in the, somebody ran off and got them and put them in the back of the room. That is not what I would call transparent government. And I realize that there's limitations on staff, but that kind of non-transparency, Mayor Singh will not recuse herself, suggests that there's an enormous amount of collaboration with the applicant here, which it does not appear appropriate. So, regarding Maverik, this is a large national truck stop firm. Maverik can call their facilities whatever they want, but Americans in American English, where 18-wheelers stop, fuel up diesel, and then are able to pull over and rest and idle their trucks, is a truck stop. Whether or not there's a diner there doesn't really matter. But I can call it a fueling station if you like. And so that truck stop or fueling station is indeed, what is it intended for? What is Maverik's goals? They've been doing this all over the country, putting in giant truck stops near interstates, and they are serving interstate truckers and travelers. They are not a facility that's for locals. This facility is not for the citizens of Elk Grove. So given that the case, I would think there would be more scrutiny of this. There would be additional scrutiny in which you would hire these experts to question this. And so in this instance, we have had to hire experts at Protect Elk Grove's expense, and we've hired a toxicologist, Jim Clark, who has pointed out a couple of things about this project that were not addressed in the documents that the city provided. And that was that there are several Cortese sites. There are several identified, even if they're not Cortese, they're identified sites that the State Water Resources Control Board has identified on their website, the GeoTracker website, as having contaminated soils and groundwater. So pollutants such as VOCs, volatile organic compounds, perchloroethylene, hydrocarbons, all of these are what are produced and emitted and discharged by Maverik as well. So the question that Mr. Clark says, where's the beef? Where is the information? Where's the data? Where's the analysis on whether there's a synergy and there's any impacts shared by Maverik's facility, future facility, and with the neighboring facilities? City attorney and Maverik's attorneys have addressed this at length. But there has been no expert for the city because the city probably doesn't have one. And Maverik has not hired one. They don't have it. There's no information from a geologist or a toxicologist as we've produced. Instead, there's a response from Maverik's attorney, Ms. Sherrock, who's an attorney, not a geologist, not a toxicologist. So that means she knows about as much about groundwater contamination as I do, which is not a lot, although I do litigate these cases. But I still don't know much. So her response is, we don't have to look at that because the California Environmental Quality Act says we don't have to look at neighboring facilities. Well, of course, a lawyer would say that. I'm not going to get into, I disagree with her legally. I'm not going to get into those points. What I am going to get into is that we do know that groundwater travels freely within a ground basin, back and forth. So the response of we don't have to is disconcerting to me. Regarding toxic air contaminants examined by Mr. Clark, he said the TACs were not also sufficiently examined. They were barely examined at all. The response from Maverik and the city has been, we don't have to. We think that CEQA, the city is saying, and the Maverik, CEQA doesn't require that. The same thing with traffic. Our traffic expert has pointed out several things, including that these giant 18-wheelers are going to have a lot of difficulty pulling into that intersection. It's going to take them forever, essentially in layman's language, to navigate and take those turns. People at the Planning Commission, I believe there's a trucker there, said there's no way they can do that easily. It's going to slow down traffic. It's going to cause congestion. What is the response of the city and of Maverik? The same thing. We don't have to look at congestion. Well, wait a minute. Isn't congestion one of the criteria for CEQA? Not anymore. That's been substituted with vehicle miles traveled, which is the most useless criteria ever invented in the face of the earth, which is basically there are more miles going to be added to the entire Sacramento area. Who cares? So, but even if congestion isn't required by CEQA, it is under your own policies, as Mr. Brohard pointed out, our expert. And so since it's one of your policies to deal with congestion, that connects with CEQA, and you would have to do that. That has not been done. So the congestion issue is the similar. We don't have to. But always, we don't have to study this. Doesn't that strike you as a little bit defensive, a little bit opaque, a little bit serving to the applicant, Maverik, and not to the public? The public probably wants to know about groundwater contamination and VOCs and hydrocarbons. He probably wants to know about toxic air contaminants coming from the idling diesel trucks. They want to know about congestion at that intersection, as I believe one or two of you have expressed interest in. But we're not going to know because they have not been required to submit that kind of analysis. So again, what I would suggest is that you hire consultants, table this, just not necessarily vote tonight, but table it and send it back and have those questions answered that our consultants have brought up. Again, this is something that's in the interest of everybody who lives in Elk Grove, who breathes the air, drinks the water, drives a car or a bicycle. And we think that this is a safer way to go. If I was an attorney, as I was a deputy general counsel, I would advise Maverik, just back off, do the environmental document, comply fully with CEQA, do an environmental impact report or an initial study. Make sure that you assess all these questions about people's health and the environment and the community. My colleague, Mr. Kasuni, is going to speak a little bit about cumulative impacts. Where'd it go?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name's Tim Kasuni. I am part of the legal team for the appellant Protect Elk Grove, working with Mr. Yates. The project has been approved on the assumption that there's a CEQA exemption. It is referred to as an infill exemption. We disagree with that conclusion. There's detailed arguments why this is not a proper CEQA exemption in the initial September appeal letter and in subsequent letters by Mr. Yates. Cumulative impacts means you can't just look at one project in isolation. You have to also bear in mind and consider whether there will be probable future projects. And those sections are 15065, 15355 of the California Code of Regulations. There's some letters that I've seen, and there's been a flurry of letters in the last few days. And I'm hopeful the City Council's read those. There's a lot of material. The project applicant, Maverik, seems to be taking the position of, well, we don't have a deal yet. We don't have an agreement with tenants yet. We haven't submitted a formal application yet. none of those things are legal standards for a probable future project. And let's consider a couple of factors along those lines. At the Planning Commission hearing, city staff represented that there were additional development assumptions built into this, but the applications have not yet been filed. That statement was made not only verbally at the Planning Commission hearing, is also expressly referenced in the Planning Commission staff report. And the owner of the property, also at the Planning Commission hearing, expressly stated, I think it was Jim Gillum, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing his name, stated he was appearing at the request of the Planning Commissioner. He stated that he is, quote, planning for complementary uses, end quote, and that he has prepared a preliminary site plan for, quote, restaurants, a hotel, and coffee shops. Not only that, in the recent letter from the property owner, I believe it was a letter from Reynolds, they acknowledge that they are marketing the property. By the way, this 2.93 acres is part of a larger parcel. They're marketing for additional uses for restaurants, a hotel, and coffee shops. It's not a defense legally, certainly, to say, well, we don't have deals in place yet. So, even if we assume that this is an infill project, which it is not. By the way, it's not only because of the traffic impacts and so forth. It's not an infill because it's surrounded on two sides by non-urban uses. It's not an infill project, and there cannot be a blanket categorical exemption for that reason alone. But let's assume that it is an infill project. Well, the California Code of Regulations also states that there is an exception to the exemption for infill projects on cumulative impacts, which is an assessment of whether the project and successive projects of the same type in the same place will result in cumulative impacts. Well, certainly there are. There's a site plan being prepared. You know, this cannot be, I hope, a situation where this city council approves the project and the next day, here are the applications, and that they're just holding them to make an argument that there's no deal done yet. I hope that's not the case. And I'm not accusing anyone of doing that, but you can understand the concern that this is being held in abeyance and it's coming down the pipeline. So there was also a statement made in some of the letters by the project applicant on this issue of cumulative impacts, which is essentially saying, well, there cannot be any more truck stops. This is really the only one. Well, the law doesn't say that a project of the same type has to be the exact same retail project. The argument being made by the project applicant is that, well, there can't be another truck stop under the Elk Grove Code. And I think that's true, but that's not what the exception to the exemption says. Retail in general would be a same type of a project. A restaurant, a coffee shop, a hotel, retail uses would certainly be of the same type. Otherwise, if the project applicant's argument is withheld, is sustained, you could have someone saying, well, I got approved for a sewing thread shop And, yeah, there's going to be a sewing needle shop next door, but it's not the same type of use. That's the kind of argument they're making. That certainly isn't the case here. So there's a number of concessions that there are development assumptions for future use in the same location and the same type of use. I'll just quote you actually a couple references to the current staff report. I'm quoting now from page 7. There is no active application yet for the remaining approximately 10 acres. What does that mean, yet? That means it's coming down the pike, but it hasn't been formally submitted yet. And that was my concern about this just being held in abeyance. Another reference. The staff report also says on page 12, it's referring to what is being developed on the 2.5 acres. And there's a statement that says the project is located on 3 parcels that total 2.93 acres, will include a convenience store, 2 canopies, etc. And then it says the remaining vacant land within the SPA is not part of this application. Well, that's fine, but it's very clear that there are uses of the same type in the same location. There's been concessions at the Planning Commission hearing. There's been a concession that these kinds of uses are being used in a site plan to negotiate with potential tenants. The fact that there's not a deal yet, the fact that the application hasn't actually been submitted yet is of no matter. It's a very reasonable probability and an assumption that is coming down the pike. So for those reasons, there is an exception to the exemption. And again, my whole discussion is on the assumption that the infill exemption is even applicable in the first instance, and it is not. I would conclude with those comments. Thank you for your attention.
Mr. Yates, are you done?
Almost.
Okay.
I'd ask, are we going to have an opportunity to speak later
Yes.
after the applicant speaks?
And after the public.
And after the public? All right, great. Thank you.
All right.
Also, I did want to
Oh.
say, I'm not sure, I just want to say Mr. Lindgren has been very professional and helpful, and I appreciate his professionality. Thank you.
Thank you. We think so too. All right, now I would like to invite the applicant, Maverik, to speak.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Todd Myers. I'm an employee with Maverik, and I just want you to know we are, thank you. We are very excited to be part of this city, and so we're very pleased that you're willing to hear this tonight, and we're hoping that, of course, it works out well. We're going to have 3 people that will be presenting. We're going to start off with our attorney so that she can address all of these CEQA questions, and then myself will come up and I'll tell you a little bit more about Maverik, and then we'll dive into the traffic with our traffic consultant.
Your name for the record, sir?
Todd Myers,
Thank you.
185 South State Street, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay, I didn't need all that, but thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Casey Shorak. I am an attorney with Somex, Simmons & Dunn, and I represent Maverik in this matter. All right, let me get my stuff organized here. First of all, we want to thank the city for all their hard work under duress in a short period of time. We really appreciate it. It was a substantive amount of work. The city was very thorough and detail-oriented in its staff report, and we truly appreciate that. Maverik sent 2 letters to City Council, one on Monday, November 10th, and another one last night. responding to the initial appeal and subsequent material sent by appellant. We also had our consultants, Kimley Horn and AWA, send some memos. I believe that they arrived last night or this morning. I know it's a lot of material, again, in a short period of time, but we appreciate any consideration that staff gave this material. We waited to send our initial response letter, not to withhold the response or to avoid scrutiny, as was indicated in the appellant's second appeal letter. We did that responsibly, waiting on the staff report to review the staff report so that we could understand the city's position. We could understand city staff's analysis, determinations, and findings before weighing in. It's as simple as that. And to wit, we agree with them. We agree with the city's analysis, determinations, and findings. You'll see that we cite them throughout our appeal letter, or throughout our response to the appeal letter, at first and second. So we really do value that information, and we were waiting to be able to speak intelligently on it. Again, we agree with the city's analysis, determinations, and findings. We believe and agree with the city that the project is exempt from CEQA review. This is my assessment as both a CEQA lawyer and a CEQA and land use attorney, and also as a former CEQA consultant. Before going to law school, it's my second career. I call myself a later in life attorney. I was an environmental consultant for almost 20 years before I went to law school. I worked for major firms and at one point had my own firm. So it was interesting when Mr. Yates said that we're attorneys and we don't do these kinds of assessments. In fact, I have done hazmat assessments in the past. I have done all the assessments. I've prepared EIRs. I have both litigated exemptions and written them. So I get to wear a lot of hats, and that gives me a bit of an advantage. And I can say, wearing both my attorney hat and my consultant hat, that this was excellent work, and we agree with all of the findings. There's a lot to unpack and respond to, so I'm just going to try and go in order, because I want to give the council, kind of as much information as we can when they're making their determinations here today. First and foremost, the appellant appears to be mischaracterizing Maverik and the city's responses. I don't ever recall the city saying that no analysis is required here. In fact, the staff report and its attachments reflect an inordinate amount of analysis. So analysis was required by the city, and it was performed. I also don't understand this accusation that the city hasn't consulted a third-party consultant. They, in fact, have one. It's Ascent Environmental. They are an excellent consultant. They have a great reputation. And I believe that the city has also hired other consultants. I'm not 100% sure on that, but certainly Ascent's been involved in this. We've reviewed their work, and they've done great work, and they're known to do great work. So the city has had outside consultancies here. Moving on, just a quick housekeeping issue. In our first response letter to the city, we attempted to define truck stop, because there's a lot of accusations that this is a truck stop. It's not a truck stop, but we're trying to find a definition, a useful definition that the city might find useful. We cited to California Civil Code 52.2A6 for a definition of truck stop under a different body of law, but it was an interesting definition nevertheless. That was, there's a typo there, actually. The code citation is California Civil Code section 52.6A6. So I just wanted to, for the record, make that housekeeping correction. Kind of going down the list here, the appellant essentially contends that the city's assessment of the Class 32 criterion that the project is substantially surrounded by urban uses is incorrect. They cite cases to support their allegation. The cases they cite aren't applicable here. They're wrong. Their primary case doesn't deal with exemption, a Class 32 exemption or exemptions at all. It's an old case. Subsequent courts have found that case to be an opposite, that it doesn't apply to Class 32 exemptions for the same reasons that we're saying here, because that case didn't deal with a Class 32 exemption. And that's the Mammoth case that is cited a couple of times by appellant. The city staff determined, based on a variety of factors, that the site is substantially surrounded by urban uses, and that is enough, and we agree. They didn't just use one factor, they used multiple factors, and that's exactly what is supposed to happen here. Appellant spoke today and in their second letter about this Cortese list, that the site is contaminated with toxic waste. There is absolutely no evidence of this. The project site is not on the Cortese list, which is what the hazardous waste sites exception to the CEQA exemptions is concerned about. And that's CEQA guidelines section 15300.2 talks about the hazardous waste sites exception. None of the neighboring or nearby properties to the project site are on the Cortese list. There have been a couple of properties that appeared on the Cortese list in the past, I think one in the 90s, one in the early 2000s. They have since been removed from the Cortese list, so that is just a fact that they're not on the Cortese list. Appellant contended that a phase 1 environmental site assessment is needed for the project site. In fact, one has been prepared, and I think it might have been submitted to the city very recently. I believe it was, I'm not sure on that. But I've looked at the phase 1, and it confirms Ascent Environmental's assessment in the staff report that there's the property is not on the Cortese list. It doesn't meet the criteria for this exception. And again, zero evidence has been provided that there will be contamination. I think that appellant is misunderstanding the application of the Cortese list exception here. The CEQA guidelines has an Appendix G checklist when you start talking about things like initial studies, and it addresses this as well. And the criteria is clear. Is the project site on the Cortese list? The answer is no. Appellant also contends that an additional health risk analysis is required. Ascent performed a health risk analysis. They used standard tools and guidance for assessing gas station risks. They looked at air district guidance, CEQA guidance. This analysis was peer-reviewed by AECOM, so that is 2 credible consultants agreeing that the project poses no significant health risks, and really no more is required here. The appellant also contends, is concerned about traffic, level of service, trip generation, things of that nature. In their second appeal letter, they raised some concerns about some discrepancies between Kimley Horn's first traffic analysis and their second traffic analysis. We have 2 engineers from Kimley Horn here today to answer any questions City Council may have, but ultimately Kimley Horn submitted a memo, I believe it was early this morning or late last night, that explained that discrepancy and confirmed that that discrepancy between its first study and its second study in no way altered their analysis or their conclusions. Also, appellant discussed this, that LOS, level of service, is not a CEQA issue. It is not a CEQA issue. It might be a planning issue for the city of Elk Grove, and I assume it is. Vehicle miles traveled is what CEQA requires to be considered for this exemption under the traffic portion of the Class 1, Class 32 criteria. That VMT analysis was performed by Fair and Peers, and it is appropriate. It was also reviewed and validated by Ascent Environmental, again, a third-party consultant involved here. In terms of development on the property surrounding the project site known as the Special Planning Area, the Court CMD SPA, this property's been undeveloped for many, many years. The property owner, Reynolds and Brown, has confirmed that there are no reasonably foreseeable tenants for this property. The city confirmed in the staff report that no applications for development have been submitted. CEQA doesn't require agencies or applicants to speculate on future development. I'm quite certain that Reynolds and Brown would love to develop this area. You know, as was stated by Reynolds and Brown in a memo or a letter to the city, they've been trying for 17 years. There's been lots of ups and downs, and they'll continue to want to develop this area. But right now, it's undeveloped, it's vacant, and there's no plans for development. Appellant indicated that there might be some applications in abeyance. We have no knowledge of that, and we know that to not be true. So I'll just say that. If there were, then I'm quite sure Reynolds and Brown would be pleased, and we would be having a whole different conversation, but we're not having that conversation right now. Appellant's counsel cites to several CEQA guideline provisions regarding cumulative impacts. Those don't apply here. Those are when environmental impact reports are being prepared. An environmental impact report was not prepared here because the city deemed this project to be exempt from CEQA review. The criteria for the cumulative exception to CEQA exemptions indeed talks about projects of the same type in the same place. Now, I'm not going to litigate this particular provision right here in front of y'all, because how boring would that be? But case law indicates that when you're applying an exemption, same type, same place is relatively constrained to exactly that, the same type of development in the same place, future. So that would be here something more like a gas station or a comparable type of development. And we know that whatever occurs on the vacant portions of the SBA site will not be that. So, and even if they were to occur in the future, again, they're not reasonably foreseeable. The general criteria under CEQA for whether or not a cumulative project needs to be analyzed is whether or not an application has been submitted to the city. And again, that has not happened here. I will conclude with that. I know that we might have an opportunity to respond or have some kind of closing statement. And I know that Maverik would like to come up here and show you their presentation and tell a little bit of the story about this project. Thank you.
Again, Todd Myers with Maverik. It's finally time to talk about Maverik. I'm excited to be here tonight. As you can see, the site, it's a small site. It's a traditional Maverik site. It's not a truck stop site, which are going to be 20 acres or greater. And the property is already zoned, and as you can see, there's already a building there. Maverik itself started up almost 100 years ago by three brothers, and that the company today is still owned by one of the brothers' descendants, Crystal Macalet is our owner. And we have 800 stores and growing. We're in roughly 20 states. We have about 15,000 employees that are eligible for benefits. And then there's probably about another 25% of the employees that do not receive benefits because they work less than 30 hours a week. So 3/4 of our employees do get benefits, and that is a big part of who our company is. We really value those employees. We want them to stay long-term. Our managers are judged on whether or not they keep employees, or do they just have a constant turnover. I have a little video. This is only going to take just a couple of seconds, maybe 20 seconds or so, but it'll kind of give you an idea of who Maverik is. As I said, Maverik really, our employees, that's who makes us successful. And we want to make sure that they're safe. We want to make sure that our customers are safe. And so as you go to a Maverik, you're going to find that there are security cameras outside and inside of the building. At Planning Commission, I said there was 24. I got the update recently. We've actually increased to a minimum of 50 cameras, and some stores have as many as 80 cameras. When we choose a site, we do pull a crime report for that area. And again, we want to make sure our employees are safe. So that's a big part of our planning. And with that, we have a reputation. We like to work with the police department. Wish the chief was still there. Those videos, we have an email for them. If they want to get those videos, they could get those. They're high definition. We want to have the reputation of, boy, things get filmed at Maverik. And what we end up having is it becomes a very safe place. You even have parents that have separated. They'll use a Maverik to hand off the kids because it's a safe environment. And then the other thing is you look at our stores. As I said, 800 stores. We've been to a lot of cities. We've had a lot of police departments review our sites and our buildings. Your police department commented on some of the height of the plants that we had, that they didn't, they were worried about people being able to hide behind them. Others have commented on, hey, you need more glass so that as we drive by, we want to see in. And so as you could see on that video, we really emphasized the glass. And on the video, you could see the posters. There was only one poster, and it was up high so that you could see into the store. And that's very important for us. And of course, the lighting. Now this, you read this one here, in 2017, we received the safety award through the WCF. And you can say, well, Todd, that's quite a while ago. They got 20,000 companies that are part of that fund. They only give out one award a year. We're very proud of that. Let's talk about these employees. Again, we're nothing without our employees. And so with that, what we do to keep them there. First of all, if you work 40 hours a week, average over the course of a year, you are a full-time employee. You are eligible for benefits. You are eligible for those benefits if you're hired as a full-time employee day one. So what are those benefits? Medical, dental, vision, hearing. We have college reimbursement up to $5,200 a year. We have a 401k match. Because a lot of these people, this is one of their first jobs. That 401k match is a good motivator for them to start preparing for their future. One way they can fund that is on a quarterly basis, depending on how each store does, the employee can get a bonus per the hours that they work during that quarter. So they could use that money to help fund that 401k. We also have life insurance policies that they can buy for the benefit of their family. And if they don't want to pay a single dime into it, they get a $20,000 life insurance policy. I look at it in some ways that we're trying to train our young employees how to become adults. And I got to say, I'm one of them. A couple of years ago, I didn't have a will. I went to one of our seminars that we had, our Brown lunch, and came away with the contact from the attorney. I never felt like more of an adult than the day I got that done. But we're trying to do these things. We're trying to develop these people. Because if they're able to advance and pay their bills and have some training, they're able to move up in the company and they become the good store managers, district managers, zone directors, thank you. These are some of the comments we've received over a 2-week period in October. We have a whole page of just California positive comments. These really kind of lay out what we hear a lot. Clean restrooms. I remember it was just a few years ago, we had all of our stores permitted for the year when our president came in and said, no, we got to redo this because I want the reputation that when you're out driving around the community and your spouse needs to use the restroom, your spouse doesn't say, find me a restroom. They say, find me a Maverik. And so if you go to one of our stores, you're going to see our bathrooms are big. It's, we have stores where we've done additions just to the restrooms because that's a very important way to grab customers, to make them into love and Maverik, I guess I would have to say on that. Sorry, kind of tongue-tied there a little bit. Here is the floor plan for the Maverik here. And it's very typical The retail area is very similar to what you just seen on the video. It's surrounded by coolers on two of the sides. You got the kitchen. You have the restrooms. You can see those are big restrooms. They're well lit. There are no things that I would call a truck stop. There's not a trucker's lounge. There's not showers. And when you look at the outside, you're not going to see parking for trucks. They're going to fuel. They're going to have to leave the site. There's not going to be any place for them to park. If it's not a parking stall, it's a red curb and it has no parking signs on it. The inside of the store. Maverik was fortunate enough that we were part of what we used to call our share group. And there were 5 of us in the share group. It was all C-stores spread across the country. And we would just really share everything, all of our information, and trying to prepare for the future. And from that, we came away with a couple of things. One of them is you can't be just the old traditional C-store that really just relied on fuel cells. You have to make the store an equal part of your business. And that store has to have fresh food-made items. And so we have tried to refine those items over the years. You'll see us change the menu from time to time when we figure we have something better. But the other thing is just the store itself. The video kind of showed you the display cabinets, those were all lower so that you can see over the top. The ceiling's higher. We have murals going around the outside of that local area. And so it just kind of gives you more of an open feel. We removed all of the items from the store that weren't selling, so there's less items in there. But it has more of a comfortable feel. The store itself, we have a standard store, like many businesses. It's part of who we are. This store has some enhancements to it so that it does meet the city's design criteria. But for the most part, it looks like any of our standard Maveriks. And I'll turn time over to Rick Magnus from AWA Engineering.
Watch me be brief. Won't this be fun? My name is Rick Magnus. I'm with AWA Engineering, and we do a number of Maveriks over the years, and we continue to do so, and we are the civil engineer for this particular site. What I want to do is just walk you through a few elements of the site plan. As you can see, down to kind of the center bottom is what we call the forecourt or the front court that services your typical vehicles. It's in front of the store. It makes it really convenient to come in. It's well lit, recessed lighting. People feel safe when they come in, whether it's in the middle of the day or in the evening. The store is located near the corner, but there was also a water quality LID that we need to also handle storm drainage in that. So you'll see that big open space there in the corner. And then also to the north are the high flow areas where you see the larger vehicles come in. Now, what I want to do is also emphasize what Kira kind of talked about is in early 2025, we went before the Trails Committee, and our site plan now reflects the decisions that were made there. We were allowed to remove the equestrian trail along Grant Line because those horses didn't have very far to go, right? And then they have to turn around and everything. So what we ended up doing is increasing the interest of this multi-use trail that can provide pedestrian connectivity as well as additional landscaping along Grant Line. What you will see is, I'm sorry, is it the mouse, Kira? I'm so sorry. There we go. What I wanted to do is also talk about a little bit about access, because that seems to be something that is very important to the city and this location. Once again, these are exhibits, and I want to thank your staff we've spent numerous hours, and they've been very responsive in getting back and making these decisions on how the intersections will flow along Grant Line and into the project and what have you. So this first one is just to demonstrate what will happen there at the corner. What we're providing is a through right-hand turn from East Stockton onto Grant Line, which is not going to have the queuing or the stacking of vehicles waiting for a green light to make that right-hand turn. We now have it where they're going to be able to just make that turn and merge like they need to on there. Also, there's a 2-lane left-hand turn that now goes from Grant and heads north on East Stockton Boulevard, and you can see that there are 2 lanes. One connects and ends up being a left-hand turn into the development, and then there's another one that will take it as a through traffic lane. And this kind of changes the striping plan that's out there now, and it eliminates what's called a weave. It really helps out with that. This is to demonstrate a right in to the project because there are 2 access points on this site on East Stockton. And as was mentioned before, there's a right in, right out on that kind of more southerly entrance. There is a median out in Stockton which will not allow a vehicle to make a left from there. The left-hand turns will be now controlled on that shared access that is above. And something else I want to mention just real quick is there are shared accesses between the parcel to the west. It'll be within Maverik. There's 2 locations that are shared, so someone doesn't have to manipulate and move within here. But as you can see, this turn allows larger vehicles to come in on a right and then get their fuel at the high flow and then exit on the right. And then finally, another exhibit, and once again, this is in conjunction with the city and staff that we've been able to work this out. This is a left in, right out, and on the shared driveway. What's really important about this design and what took us time was there is no conflict when someone makes a right out or a left in. They are not occupying a second lane. They are not causing any type of conflict as they go in. These were the 3 exhibits that we wanted to share with you this evening because it seems like there was some concerns, especially from Planning Commission, about access. That was very important. Another thing is just regarding on-site, no parking, red curb striping. This is not a truck stop. There are not, this just shows how we mark curbs on every Maverik site. We don't allow vehicles to just park forever. They're there to fuel, go into the store, grab some snacks, or go to the restroom, and then they are back out. There also is signage that also allows for to let people know there is no parking in these areas. Because as you could see in some of the turn exhibits, we need that space to make sure things flow properly. That is really everything I've got. Oh, let's show you a pretty picture. How about I end on a pretty picture? That would be nice, right? So here's the perspective on Grant Line. Once again, we were asked by your Trails Committee, hey, if we're not going to have a horse trail, an equestrian trail adjacent to this multi-use trail, but they asked for a greater streetscape. And so what we ended up doing is providing that, and then we wanted to show you at when those are provided that you now get to see that. This is actually what I think we've talked about before. Look at me. I'm going to go to a fairly nice picture to leave. But of course, we're here to answer any questions you may have. But thank you. Thank you so much. And I want to just once again compliment your staff for the great help. Thank you.
Anybody else coming up for Maverik before I open up public comment? Was that it? All right. At this time, I will go ahead and open up public comment. We have several people signed up to speak. And what I would ask is, I'm going to give you the 3 minutes. However, if you are going to be saying similar comments as previous speakers, You can be brief if you like, highly encouraged to be brief if you can, and reinforce perhaps what some earlier speakers have said. With that, I'm going to officially open up public comment, and our first speaker is Mark Jansen, followed by Andrew Grunman.
You're going to have to wait up here, Your Honor. Honorable Mayor.
Madam Mayor, City Council, thank you for this opportunity to come here tonight. I'm going to be very brief because I learned a long time ago in public affairs, if you do anything, be sincere, be brief, and be seated. The reason why I'm here tonight is because of this. You've seen this, which is a picture of a Protect Elk Grove advertisement, and there's a picture above the Protect Elk Grove that I was concerned about when I found out about it. It's not a group picture, it's me. I do not support this activity, either side. I have friends on both, but I just wanted to make sure that the council knew that the presence of my picture in this advertisement, if you would, was not by intent. I trust it was by accident, and I trust that the efforts I've made so far tonight will clear that up. And I can go on living my life in security and secret and recognize that if they do use my name, I hope they spell it correctly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Andrew Grunman,
Andy's fine.
Followed by Tim Grunman.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Honorable Council members. So I'm going to make this brief. Our family has been agriculture here for over 50 years before the city was a city, and quite frankly, almost when Henry Lent sold the property off where a lot of this stuff's happening now. This has historically been a fuel area. There's been a number of gas stations, fuel stations and stuff that's been around there. And one thing that this would benefit the community on is that it's going to reduce, I know they've covered that, but it's going to reduce vehicle miles traveled. You're going to drive to Highway 12 to get diesel, or you're going to drive to 49er to get diesel. Now, it's going to stop all the traffic going through the median, through Bruceville and all that to get to it. And I guess we're kind of ignoring the elephant in the room. I mean, there is 22 million gallons of fuel sitting in the suburban tanks. So I know that's not part of it, but anybody that wants to say that this isn't good for the community, we've got 22 million gallons of fuel sitting there. This offers to bring employment, and quite frankly, I can't see anything that it's not beneficial for, especially over the past, since the turn of the century, it's really clamped down on how much fuel you can store on hand. So for some of our agricultural activities, it's nice to be able to have a place to go get diesel quickly. It offers ramps where you can go in at passenger slots, and I see for trucks, but I think this will help deplete some of the truck traffic around the area. And with that, I close. Oh, I guess I would ask you to deny the appeal and affirm the Planning Commission's approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Tim Grunman, followed by Dio Rajlal.
Mayor, council members, I too was prepared to put a lengthy statement together and try to sway you towards supporting the installation of the Maverik. But everybody's covered everything I was going to cover, so I just want to say I fully support it and I hope it passes.
Thank you. Next up is Dio Rajlal, followed by Rajesh Patel.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Well, I'm new here looking at all those technical terms that's been presented by the attorney, but I'm here to represent the common people that travel, that commute daily to Grant Line. The traffic is of major concern. That's to me, that's to the residents. And Madam Chair, if you look at every evenings in the mornings, past going towards the southbound, past Elk Grove Boulevard, you are in the traffic. And just imagine hundreds of trucks just getting into the exit of Grant Line. 4 semi-trucks will just pile up on the exit, and that will just further pull up the traffic. And the other thing is, I've been looking at the the plans that was shown. And for any common person that stands there currently at the Grant Line and East Stockton Junction, turning a SUV is difficult at the moment. Imagine a semi-truck turning into the East Stockton. That's difficult. And we have been in the media recently, so many fatalities has happened. And we don't want some more fatalities coming up on Grant Line. And I believe if approval is given, the council has to take liabilities for any accidents that happens should an approval is given. I am not for the project. My concern, the common people have difficulty coming down here and saying. People can't speak because they are frightened to come and speak. But you go in the community, everyone is talking about what is coming, why the council is giving this approval. The residents are talking. We move around to people. And this is from the common people that please do something that we live in peace. We don't want traffic. Traffic is a major. We are not against any development. We are not against, I'm making it very clear. But the major issue is the current infrastructure that is at the present does not allow such big semi-trucks to pull in. And technically, it's going to be a truck stop. The attorneys have said no. There is a hotel that's been submitted into the planning process, that there is a proposed hotel coming up. It's just common, we know. So a semi-truck driver will pull into the hotel, parks the vehicle whole night there. So technically, it's a truck stop. Thank you very much.
Next up is Rajesh Patel, followed by Kenna Roberts.
Good evening, Mayor and the panel. Well, we are writing to bring this attention to the development proposal that poses a serious threat to the dignity, safety, and the local economy in our Elk Grove community. So Maverik, a massive out-of-state corporation, is seeking approval to build a large fueling center at the northwest corner of Grant Line and East Stockton Boulevard, just east of Highway 99. While they are carefully avoiding the term truck stop, make no mistake, this project is exactly that. Across California and beyond, Maverik is facing tremendous public pushback for similar proposals. As a result, the company has become more deceptive in its approach, removing the term truck stop from its application to improve the chances of approval. Their strategy is simple. First, secure approval for fueling canopies and convenience stores. Then, after 6 to 12 months later, seek a second approval for acres of truck parking. So this is exactly what's happening here in Elk Grove, while the current application avoids labeling the project a truck stop. Phase 2 clearly includes large scale of truck parking, along with high-speed diesel fueling, canopies, and defining feature of commercial truck stops. Just 20 miles away, a Maverik truck shop was approved in Lodi off Cattleman and Beckman Road. Elk Grove does not need another one. We must learn from what's happening in other cities and act before it's too late. The impact of our communities will be devastating. Strain on public safety services, which are already under pressure, increase in crime and prostitution, commonly associated with truck stops. Harm to local small businesses that can compete with Maverik aggressively, cutthroat pricing models, deceptive commercialization of the corridor meant for thoughtful, community-centered growth, an unfriendly family environment in a city that prides itself on being safe and reliable, loss of local character, and as corporate interests. I hope communities' plea to request to cancel the Maverik truck stop is being considered to prevent further disappointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Kenna Roberts, followed by Anil Kishore.
Good evening. I will just reiterate my frustration as well with the existing traffic. I believe adding Maverik and eventually the Grant Line Village will only increase congestion and create more safety risk. At the past Planning Commission meeting, it wasn't clear that the environmental impacts were fully reviewed or the community had a real opportunity to weigh in. I'm especially concerned about the safety and the fact that Maverik's fuel storage is 5 times larger than a typical gas station. There's also uncertainty about what road construction will be needed to make the site accessible for trucks. Finally, I feel that we have a lot of truck stops in place, and we don't really need another one, especially at an intersection that's struggling with traffic and safety. And that's it.
Thank you. Next up is Anil Kishore, followed by Bill Loskatov. Sorry if I butcher your name.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak. My main concern is, everybody's talking about it. A lot of negatives are there. Nobody's thinking about it. You people approve it. We don't like it over there. I live in there, around the corner from there. Every day is a mess, traffic, especially these semi-trucks coming in. Imagine adding another 50, at least 10 of them more. It's not worth it. I seen semi-trucks turn into the East Stockton Boulevard. I get in and out of there. It's not right. And we need to do more homework on this. I've been a truck driver. I have a trucking company. I gave all that up. Now I'm retired. I moved in the area. I want to live peacefully and raise my grandkids so they are happy. We have churches. We have school around the corner. We don't need these large corporations. They survive. Now, I know they have money. We don't have money. We are small people. Where do we go? Who do we ask to help us? That's why my friend said that people don't come out. You guys, people chose you guys, put you guys in there to make the decision for us. So we live happily in our neighborhoods. You are saying Elk Grove is a great city. Let's keep it that way. And I've been in this Elk Grove area for 40 plus years. We need a happy environment, clean environment. We don't need negativity. Somebody was talking about flooding. You're going to put concrete in 3 acres. What's going to happen to the flooding? Is city ready for that? Is the drainage ready for that? I don't think so. That's why we are flooding. We are flooding recently. People should know where we are growing. We need to make a happier environment and a clean environment for our kids, for our neighbors. So think about it. People voted for you guys, put you guys in there. So you guys make the right decision for the people of Elk Grove. So we are happy. We keep putting you in there. Hey, these guys are great. Let's put them up there again. But if you put these kind of things up there, nobody will support you. So please think about the citizens that cannot speak for themselves and put it in the media so the neighbors know that these kind of things are coming up in our neighborhood. We need to put a stop to this. That corner is not ready for trucks. We have plenty of trucks. And there are a lot of people, small people with truck owners, small truck. I have a lot of friends. They're small people, small truck owners. They're really surviving. We don't need to get into the more congested area. We need something good in the area. What happened to the sports complex was supposed to come in my neighborhood? What happened to that? Up in there, there was a hospital supposed to build in Elk Grove. What happened to this? Let's do some good work for our community. Keep our people happy. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Next up is Bill Loskatov. How do you say your last name? Loskatov. Followed by Biren Prasad.
Thank you, council members. Bill Loskatov, 3411 Clemens Way in Sacramento. I, in full disclosure, am the real estate broker for Maverik in this location. I can say that in the last 4 or 5 years that I've traveled up and down the Central Valley working on sites out there, I've had nobody complain about the fact. In fact, everybody wanted to see a Maverik come to town. People actually going on long trips, if you travel around Western United States, will find that they plan their stops in Maverik locations so they can fuel up and not only the car but themselves at the same time. Last thing I'll make is I used to deal with Don Natoli, and Don wanted every gas station on the freeway. And we had some interesting conversations, but this one meets all the check marks, and I think it would be a valuable addition. I know it'd be a valuable addition to Elk Grove. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Biren Prasad, followed by Roger Ashton. Okay. Roger Ashton, followed by Mick Strangler. Sorry, I'm butchering your name. Hi, Roger.
Good evening. I don't usually speak at these meetings, but I feel compelled to do so tonight. I've visited many Maverik stores and have had nothing but the highest praise for their operations. Their locations are consistently clean, safe, and well-managed, offering great food, options, and excellent customer service. I've seen posts from those claiming to want to protect Elk Grove. In reality, it seems more like an effort to protect my gas station, as this operation appears to be driven by competing service stations trying to play on people's fears. While I believe some individuals speaking tonight may be sincere, their concerns are based on misinformation spread by competitors, and that's simply wrong. The claims that Maverik is a truck stop that will bring traffic, crime, and other problems are blatantly false. Maverik stores do not include truck parking and are not truck stops. They primarily serve local residences, businesses, and travelers passing through. The exaggerated site plans being circulated are misleading and completely out of scale. The city has invested significantly in this interchange, and this type of high-quality, highway-adjacent use is exactly what belongs here. I've seen the new Maveriks being built at entrances to other major cities, and it's been a beautiful addition, modern addition that enhances its surroundings. Elk Grove deserves the same level of quality and investment. It's time for this site to be developed into a thriving retail center rather than sitting vacant at one of the city's gateways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger. Next up is Mick Strangrauer, followed by Kelly. I don't have a last name, so Kelly.
Stan Grover.
Stan
Mick.
Grover.
Yeah, just
Okay,
say
so
Mick. Mick's good. Anyways, mine's of much lighter nature than that. Is that I just kind of the Maverik experience that I do. I travel a lot around on the western states. In the summertime, I use a motorcycle. In wintertime, I use a car, pickup, and truck. And so I guess the nature of Maverik is I seek them out. Now I have like a network of them, right? When I steward some land up in northeastern Oregon, and on my way I stop at the one at Maverik, and there's one in Anderson, California, and then the property I manage is up in really close to Baker City. There's one there. I just fueled there last month. You go in because you know you're going to have clean restaurants, especially when you ride a motorcycle all day. You're going to have a clean restaurant to go to, good food, and a place to kind of relax, for a minute. My son went to Boise State. He said, Dad, the only good thing about running low on gas was I could go to the Maverik so I can get a good burrito, and have some food. And so I guess that, all the ones I've been to just last Sunday, I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Pulled in there, paid $2.49 a gallon for gas, by the way, thanks California. And and had a nice snack on my way to the airport. So, I mean, I guess the thing is that, I hit several of them around the western states and stuff, and every time you look for them, you're going to have a clean restroom, place to relax for a minute, get something good to eat, and get back on the road. So that was all I had. Thanks.
Thank you. Kelly. After Kelly is Philip Brown.
Sorry, I was borrowing someone's pen, so I was writing quickly. I'm just going to mirror what other people have been saying, which is I've had the pleasure of being to three different states of Maveriks. I've been to Idaho, I've been to Utah, and I've been to California with my family. Have sent my children in alone to go grab a full meal with pleasure, with no concerns. I've gone in, got to the bathroom, gotten snacks, left my kids in the car. And as a mother, I would never do that at a quote-unquote truck stop. And the information that is being disseminated in this community about them being a truck stop is emphatically wrong. So I'm in full support.
Thank you, Kelly. Next up is Philip Brown, followed by Romy Quiroz.
Good evening, Ms. Mayor, council members. I've lived in Elk Grove for the last 15 years. I commute quite a bit. I've lived on the west side and east side of Elk Grove. I've seen it grow quite a bit. The biggest concern I have is still the traffic, though we've made a lot of improvements here on 99 coming right out of Elk Grove. I still see the common challenge of how it tends to still bottleneck on its way out. In my travels, I see quite a bit of billboards. For most of you, you've seen the Sweet James billboards. You guys know who I'm talking about if you got a giggle out of that. He is a truck injury attorney. And given that I've seen a lot of those billboards along I-80, I only fear that he's going to have an opportunity to have them here on 99 just because of this particular project and the amount of traffic and attention that will bring. It's not that we're not or that I'm against commerce. I'm just more concerned about the safety. I've seen quite a few accidents. We're going to have some bad, hopefully not too bad fog coming up here in the upcoming winter months. And just the safety factors, just the major concern. And I just hope that Sweet James does not have an opportunity to make a killing, if you will, on this side of Elk Grove. I didn't mean it that way, but that's my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Romy Quiroz, followed by Michael Moriarty.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. The main concern is still also traffic and safety. We're talking about a trailer right here. This is not a car that you can maneuver left and right. So once it's inside the fueling station, it goes outside. Then, if something happened along the way, then you're going to be stuck in traffic over there. Right now, we can say that every design that they did is to prevent this. But let's wait until it's operation. Once you start operating, all of that will be set aside. And that's where the problem going to start. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael Moriarty, followed by Maverik Singh.
Good evening. Well, you guys probably hear the same thing a million times, so I'm just going to give you a little story. I grew up in Tracy, California, which is about an hour south of here. And in the early 70s, I got my driver's license, and my father said, hey, I'm going to let you drive. There's a really good basketball player that's in Elk Grove, California. So we drove up here. Probably a lot of you guys aren't even old enough to even know who that is. His name was Bill Cartwright, and he was awesome. You guys, anybody know him? Or okay, well, just back then, this town wasn't much different than Tracy. So I moved to college, went to college in San Diego, been around away from this area for a long time. About 2 years, I've got a job that's in this area, and I'm here driving through Elk Grove, and I'm going, wow, what a remarkable city. The community planners and everybody here, you drive around, it's just like Southern California. I live in Orange County before I came here. Almost identical to an Orange County town. It's just like really, really nice. My concern on this project is that with I'm here for the people that are appealing, is it just feels like it's been railroaded. I've been into Mavericks. If they have high flow diesel nozzles, those are for diesel trucks. They're not for your normal car. So you might not want to call it just a truck stop, but it's a super facility. And they're nice. And so I want to encourage you guys to take your time on this project to make sure that this city, 40 more years from now when my kids are coming up here, they're as astonished as I am. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Maverik Singh, followed by Rupinder Mahin. Is Maverik Singh here?
Mr. Singh has left.
Okay, we're going to go on to Rupinder Mahin. followed by Jasveer Chima. Rupinder Mahing? Has Rupinder also left? All right. If he comes back, let me know. We're going to go to Jasveer Chima, followed by Sam Jahal.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor. I'm here to express my opposition to this proposed new gas station truck stop. While I understand the value of development, this project does not fit to correctly to need to our community. A large truck stop brings noise, pollution, and late night activity that can disrupt nearby neighborhood, affect property values. Our town should focus on projects that improve the quality of our families, support small businesses, support local businesses, and preserve clean, safe environment we all enjoy. Truck stop does that opposite. It changes who we are in community. Let's choose growth that benefit our citizens, residents, and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Sam Jahal, followed by Faikal Harul.
Hello, good evening, Ms. Singh and all the council members. What I heard from Maverik people, we are also in retail. Everybody's talking about getting a burrito. You tell me who goes to a gas station to get a burrito unless you're driving. I've been living in Elk Grove from last 23 years. I don't think so we need a truck stop. It's not for me, not for local residents. Yes, it's for going through. So we totally oppose this truck stop or gas station, whatever call. I oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you. Faikal Harul. Can you tell me how you say your name? I know I'm butchering it, sorry. And followed by Stephanie Sanchez. How do you say your name?
Faisal.
Oh, Faisal.
Hi, good evening. Elk Grove is a family-oriented, peaceful city, and that's why many of us choose to live here. And 25 pumps, gas station, and a large convenience store would bring more noise, more light at night, and more traffic to an area that's already been busy and surrounded by families. We're not against growth, but it needs to be responsible and transparent. We have seen how gas stations can become targets for theft and late-night incidents. Bringing that to such a busy intersection would make that area less safe and more stressful for nearby residents. This project feels rushed and doesn't reflect the kind of development that keeps Elk Grove safe and family-friendly. It also raises serious concerns about water contamination, air quality, and long-term safety. And on top of that, truck drivers traveling long, exhausting hours would likely stop here to rest, adding large commercial traffic and creating a major safety risk for our neighborhood. We have to think about what it means. We cannot look at what this project means today. We have to think about what it means 5 or 10 years from now. Once it's built, we can't undo it. What makes our community great is that we think ahead, and we protect it and plan for the future. And I'm asking the city to do the same, to protect our community and quality of life, and say no to this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Faisal. Next up is Stephanie Sanchez, followed by Jay Salhan.
Good evening. Today I'm speaking as an Elk Grove resident and a parent to share my concerns with this project. My main concerns about building this Maverik gas station are the added traffic congestion it will bring and the potential pollution to our community, affecting the air quality. I'm raising my children here, and their safety and well-being are my top priorities. I want them to grow up in the Elk Grove that I know and love, a safe, clean, and family-oriented place. I'm not completely against a project like this. I just wish that these concerns are taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Salhan, followed by Ali. I don't have a last name.
Good evening, Mayor Bobbie, Singh-Allen, council members, city staff, and most importantly, the citizens of this community. I want to first of all thank you for this podium and this time, and for all of you to be incredibly gracious. I've met or spoken with all of you about this project. I'm a native of Elk Grove, born in Methodist, grew up here. I haven't left this town. Something keeps me rooted here. I don't know, maybe it's my heart. And the paramount concern for me, we've heard the term truck stop, not a truck stop. I'm not here to define that. This is not anything to do with Maverik or any other operator or any other business for that matter. I am here advocating for safety and really just being a voice for the people that are, not able to speak or shy away from the mic. I kind of got catapulted into this role. And my number one concern is traffic. I've grown up here for the majority of my life. To get from one part of town to the other takes about 20 minutes, easily. Congestion time, traffic is a major concern. And the case study for this development is the Dutch Bros development off, Elk Grove Boulevard in 99. I thank the heavens there hasn't been a serious accident because there's so much gridlock there, you can't go fast, right? I mean, it's standstill almost. And the same situation happens in Grant Line at East Stockton. Every morning, every evening, I go to Spine and Nerve once a week to get my PT, and it's traffic backing up over the overpass to the suburban tanks, right? So my major concern is traffic and safety of pedestrians, cyclists, and folks that are driving. I believe an investment needs to be made in the infrastructure to support not only this Maverik, but the larger, grander vision of, what Reynolds and Brown really want to develop out is that 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 acres. It'd be great to have an amenity like a hotel, coffee shops. There's not a single coffee shop in this area. We would love for, that kind of enterprise to come, but not at the risk or cost of the public safety. And I think it begins with a thorough analysis of what the impact of this enterprise will be long-term for the community. And like the gentleman from Tracy said earlier, we're looking, generations down the line as to how this project will impact us. So I urge you to uphold the appeal and give the citizens of Elk Grove a fair chance to have a say in this process, right? And let's put this through all the filters. Why sidestep and cheat the public through all the filters as this project deserves? If it passes with flying colors, I'm an ambassador for the chamber. I'll be the first one there for the ribbon cutting if the Maverik opens after we put it through all the tests. And with that, I thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Ali, followed by Kasim Abdullah. Is Ali here? Okay, we're going to bump him. Are you here? Is that you?
Kasim, Ali is outside.
You're Kasim?
Yes.
Okay, you can come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kasim Abdullah. I'm a resident here in Elk Grove. I moved a couple of years ago, and it's really concerning to me to have this gas station, especially with more traffic and trucks coming to the area. A lot of diesel and fumes in the air and the environment, and I really want to see more green vehicles, more leaning towards electric. We don't want to add even more gas stations to our city. It is basically going to be a stop for truckers coming from the highways to pull over and fill up and leave our city, and I don't want to see that to happen. I moved to the city, and I want to stay on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mohammed Alar Kabam. Is Mohammed here? All right, we're going to go on to, let's see, Abdul Al-Mad. Oh my God, I'm getting challenged here with all the names. Abdul Al-Madam, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, what is it? I want to know how to say it.
You need to study. No, I'm joking. It's Almeida, Almehdah.
All right, we'll just call you Abdul.
I mean, basically, everyone covered what I want to say. Main thing is the traffic and the safety. That's the main concern. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up is Salah, no last name, followed by Angela Carmo.
Hi everyone, my name is Salah. I live here from a couple years. Everyone already covered what I was about to say, no to Maverik. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Angela Carmo, followed by Peli Salhan.
Good evening, council members. My name is Angela Carmo, and I'm the council president for the SES Portuguese Hall, which is right next to where this is talking about being developed. Our hall has proudly served the Elk Grove community for over 50 years, and having grown up in Elk Grove as part of our local ranching family, I'm proud to call this community home and be part of its rich history. Our Portuguese organization has always been committed to supporting local causes and partnering with other nonprofits, including the Elk Grove FFA, Sir Optimus Club, Elk Grove Lions Club, Rotary Club, CSD, Elk Grove PD, just to name a few. Each year, we even donate our hall at no charge for community programs such as Elk Grove Police Department Toy Drive. Over the decades, we've already sacrificed space for community progress, most notably when we gave up the front portion of our property during the Highway 99 expansion. However, we now find ourselves deeply concerned about the proposed Maverik truck stop near our hall. We believe this development will bring increased crime, traffic congestion, and safety issues to our neighborhood. The area will become much like Dutch Bros, which Jay also mentioned, a shopping center off of Highway 99, cramped, congested, and difficult to navigate with only one entrance and exit. Many residents already avoid that area because of these problems, not to mention the countless Amazon trucks and other semis that already contribute to daily traffic jams on East Stockton and Grant Lane Road. Furthermore, there is no demonstrated need for another truck stop in Elk Grove. A new Mavericks is already under construction 20 minutes south in Lodi, and another one is operating 20 minutes north in West Sacramento. Adding one here will only duplicate services and harm existing local businesses. If this project moves forward, we risk becoming like Flag City off of I-5, where traffic, crime, and even prostitution has become serious issues. I speak on behalf of our Portuguese community and many concerned Elk Grove citizens when I say that we strongly question the city's decision to consider placing a truck stop in our area. Our city should focus on supporting longstanding community-based organizations and local businesses, those who have invested in Elk Grove for decades, not large out-of-town corporations that offer little long-term benefits to our residents. We urge the City Council to prioritize the safety, character, and values of this community. The right choice is clear. Stand with your current residents and local businesses, not this proposed truck stop. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Let's see, we got Polly Salhan, and then Ali, if you have returned, you can queue up, as well as Mohammed Alar Kabam.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Paul Vender, and I'm a local citizen here, Elk Grove, 20 plus years. I moved to countryside for peace, but now, after 25 years, this traffic is enormous, like you guys seen it. In the morning, you drive to work, after, so please consider adding more congestion to this truck stop. So I'm not against, but I want the safety for my kids and grandkids and nephews and nieces that live here. So please give everybody a chance, especially the residents, the one they drive every day through the traffic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ali, are you here? All right, we'll remove Ali and go to Mohammed Al Kabam. Are you here? All right, we'll remove them too. Next up is Vijay Malhotra, followed by Vic Beardy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and staff. My name is Vijay Malhotra. I own Genesis, which is directly across the street from this Maverik gas station. So that's Genesis, is located on 10491 East Stockton Boulevard. I proudly served this community for over 21 years. I employ local residents, and I support nearby businesses. I'm here tonight to express my serious concern about the traffic and safety impact of the proposed Maverik development across the street from my shop. This intersection is already one of the busiest, most congested in the area. During peak hours, cars are often backed up through the light, and customers, my customers and Platt's customers, and we have a production company next to them, their customers, we hear it a lot, how frequently, how difficult it is just to get in and out. So our property only has one way in and one way out. And when you look at the access, and I didn't know this, but when I saw that access, you have 2 lanes and they merge into 1 lane. So they're saying that the 2 lanes, 1 lane's gonna be for a truck, the other lane's gonna go straight. So we already have a huge issue in trying to turn into our street. We already have rear-ending problems, you're getting honked at. So I would definitely want to see how they made, the civil engineer looked at that and made any sense for my business or the businesses in our business park across the street there. Now, with a project of this magnitude, potentially 25 plus fueling lanes, attracting RVs, cars, boats, big rigs, we're looking at a dramatic increase in vehicle movement right at that intersection. From what I understand, there are no current plans to widen the roads there, which is, means existing congestion will only get worse. I'm not against development or growth in Elk Grove at all. In fact, as a local business owner, I welcome it when it's done responsibly. But this project, as proposed, poses a real threat to traffic flow, safety, and viability of existing businesses like mine, unless proper infrastructure upgrades are made first. So I respectfully ask this council to require a comprehensive updated traffic impact study that includes the intersection and accounts for heavy through traffic and truck traffic. Number 2, if you can delay approval or occupancy of this project until the road widening, turn lanes, and traffic signal improvements are in place, or at least give me some idea on how people are going to pull in and out of my shop as well, and again, the other businesses in there. So ensure that local businesses have access and safety and are protected during the construction, before and after, please.
Thank you. Your time is up, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Vic Beardy, followed by Mandeep Singh.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dharminder Birdie, also known as my nickname, Vic Birdie. I've been living in the city for the last 24 years. My main concern is traffic. I work for state, work for DMV, but since my job is customer service, I have to go in every day. So every day going in traffic is horrible. So my main concern is safety for myself, my kids, and Elk Grove residents. And traffic is horrible every morning. Please stop this, truck stop. We don't need this. Protect Elk Grove. I have my daughter with me. I think she stepped out. She holding, sign, protect Elk Grove. Please protect for us. So, she's a little kid. I thought she stepped out. I think she stepped out. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am.
Thank you. Next up is Mandeep Singh, followed by Mike Boparai.
Hi, good evening. Someone mentioned that people with motives have grouped to oppose the Maverik here. I would like all of you to look at the hall and see people who have actually grouped to support Maverik. They're wearing the red shirts. Nobody else is wearing shirts to, oppose Maverik. When I planned to, move here in Elk Grove from the Bay Area 3 years back with my family,
we did a of the whole neighborhood. Here, Roseville, Folsom, Natomas, everywhere, right? We wanted to move to a community which is safe for our kid, has good school district and everything. Elk Grove won our heart because it's a beautiful city. This new neighborhood is, what we were looking for. It has, all the right, stores. The school district is amazing. The schools are new. There's a lot of greenery, something, we cherish. And, to be frank, we paid almost $1 million for the house. I just paid my property tax bill. It's huge. It's like I'm going to pay $15,000 a year. But I don't mind it. I don't mind it because, it's worth it. And there was a proposed zoo right next to my house. And I was looking forward to it because, I expected my friends and family from across California to visit us just to see the zoo and, meet us. Well, that project got, as you guys know, it didn't, happen. But now we hope that this particular neighborhood now has maybe a shopping mall, maybe it has some indoor activity center for my child, like a swimming, center for winters. He has nothing to do in the winters or anything else, right? As, there's a lot of this whole neighborhood, if you go there and drive through, is full of, people who have moved from different places for their kids, right? It's a neighborhood for families who wants to raise their child in this neighborhood. I take my son to a karate class, which is a plaza, which is right opposite of this facility. And I am scared to death when I'm exiting that plaza and I have to take a U-turn because when I exit, I have to basically, within few meters, I have to, cross 5 lanes. And there's incoming traffic, coming from the 99 exit and from the other part as well. When it's winters, it's 5 or 6 p.m. I'm coming out of there. It's raining. I cannot see much. In that much rain, I'm scared to always come from that exit. I actually take a long way out. Imagine I am taking that, but my wife might not take that chance. Somebody else, who's taking their kids to that karate class, or there is a day, there is, I think, an indoor play area in that, plaza. All these, things matter a lot because, when you see also the trucks which are coming
Sorry,
in.
your time is up.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Next up is Mike Boparai, followed by Mike Anand.
Good evening. My name is Mike Boparai. I've been living this city, not the city area, last 35 years. That time there was no Elk Grove. They're bringing Maverik in the city. Great. Good idea. But the trucker's going to come with that. The truck stop going to bring prostitution. Driving on the Grant Line, we don't want to see prostitution waving the truckers and you are driving with your daughter or with your wife. Those prostitutions, you can Google it. They're half naked. We don't want those ones in the city. They're saying this is not truck stop. Let's approve their project without the truck stop. Take up the diesel canopy, just approve as a gas station. We don't have a problem. The trucker's going to bring the problems. The truck stop should be outside the city, not in the city. They are misleading to you guys, the citizen of the Elk Grove, so please say no to them. They can build it without the diesel. We don't have a problem. As a citizen, I oppose this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Bobbie Anand, followed by Dharamjit Kiara. Bobbie, are you here? All right, we're going to move on to Dharamjit Kiara.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. My name is Dharamjit Kiara, and I am here to oppose this project. Me and my another at least 20 friends came here. They really don't want to come out and speak it. I'm basically speaking on behalf of that too. So, since I'm listening all this time, every citizen of Elk Grove came here and opposed it. The only people are supporting this basically is not local from Elk Grove. We see this corporation from Utah coming here in California and go city to city. Go to Lodi, Galt, then it's Elk Grove turn. Everybody turned this down, and I'm hoping City of Elk Grove turn this down too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I see Bobbie and on the back. Is Bobbie here? All right, let's remove him from the queue. Rupinder Maheen. Oh, hold on, I'm getting out of order here. Is Ali back? Okay.
Rupinder Maheen?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, I wanted to mention again what everyone spoke on, traffic. I think is a big concern, and a lot of people here moved in from the Bay Area and other places as a transplant to a small town. I think we're moving past that small town threshold now into it's just too busy for the public to really accept this big change. Truck stops come with a lot of problems. You guys should consider those. Prostitution has been said over and over and over. I'm going to say it again. Prostitution will be one of those things. Sex trafficking is a real thing in truck stops. You guys should take those serious considerations when you make this impact with a neighborhood this close. This plaza will bring that and multiple other problems that I don't need to keep repeating myself on, drugs and everything else that comes with that. They will pitch themselves as a convenience store, but this is a truck stop. Yeah, it's very well clearly communicated. Everyone said this over and over, not breaking news here. And then you guys should think, I think, for the public of Elk Grove is that look to elevate yourself. We have a lot of people here who moved here for the small town charm, but you see small towns like Rancho Cordova aiming high. There's beautiful stadiums and these big, big dreams for the city. Why can't the public of Elk Grove expect that from the city? I think that's something to think about. Truck stops are not at that level of thinking where it should be. Elk Grove is a beautiful city. The public should demand more and accept more from the city from here, not just truck stops. Truck stops is a very low level. I think you guys are aiming low, aim high. Think about the public. Thank you.
Thank you. I hear Ali is back. Yes, you can come forward. And followed by Ali is Randy Becker.
Hello, good evening. I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier. So I would like to say I just moved here in Elk Grove almost a year. And it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful city and the beautiful, amazing people over here. So the reason I moved here because it's a safer place for a family and kids. And I'm gonna have a kid soon. I don't want them to be scared of what they call it, Maverik. It's gonna be traffic. They're gonna put the people, the kids in the dangers. So I don't want to be that gonna be over here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Randy Becker.
Can we bring the site diagram up, please?
The site diagram? Yep. Christopher Jordan. Can we pause the time?
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's the new iPhone?
Who are you talking to? Oh.
You're looking for where'd it go?
That's fine.
This one's fine, okay.
Put the one up with the lanes more so.
That's, yeah.
All right, your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I've recently moved to a community just south of here.
But as some of us know, that Old Town is very near and dear to my heart. And whatever goes on in Old Town, I will have always something to say. That's just the way it is. 50 years, I've earned it. The reason I brought the side diagram up, after 33 years behind the wheel, 10 years of delivering groceries from a national carrier, and 20 years delivering to a Fortune 500 company. And our market centers were on 2-lane roads, similar to this. I can tell you that this is not a truck stop. It is a fueling station. Truck stop has Truckers Lounge. It has a nice truck restaurant. It has a truckers area where you can go in and lounge. You can take showers, and they've got all kinds of stuff in their stores that you can buy, tire shop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is a fueling station. As far as Maverik's concerned, they're no different than Chevron USA, Shell Station 76. All are gas stations, diesel stations, Pilot, Flying J's. They're national companies, period. They may be owned by some company, but the bigger picture, they're owned and operated by a corporation. Full stop. The reason I brought this up is if you see the trucks that are coming out in and out of here, they're dragging. That means their truck's going to run over a sidewalk, their trailer's going to run over a sidewalk. Why? Because it's too small of an area. I was a transportation supervisor for 10 years. If one of my drivers got hung up in here, they'd be lucky to save their job. It's not a truck stop. You want to go to a truck stop, go to the 49er, go down to Highway 12. I bought fuel at the Shell station in the middle of a snowstorm in Truckee, California. It's not a truck stop. I've been in and out of gas stations that sell fuel in a big truck in the middle of the night. As far as prostitution, I don't know, the chief's sitting over there. I hate to drag him into this, but he knows how many GPD vehicles come by there every night.
Thank you. Mr. Becker was our final speaker, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment opportunity. And let's see, there's a number of questions for staff, but I think I'll hold off unless you want to go now before we invite back up the appellant. Go ahead. Yeah, actually, let's hear from you. If you can address, Christopher Jordan, sir, if you can address some of the traffic and safety questions that have been brought up.
Yep. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. So a number of things I'll highlight very briefly, and I think the staff reports and the prepared materials in your packet do a good job of going into more of the details, both the council staff report as well as the Planning Commission report. And of course, you have all the traffic study information in your packet this evening. In terms of the overall long-term build out of the area, our city general plan, comprehensively updated in 2019, as well as the 2023 update and the updated circulation model that was prepared, continue to identify East Stockton as a 2-lane facility with all the build out of the conditions around there. The site was analyzed in that traffic analysis as a retail development with regional retail uses, including within that mix would be everything from gas stations to various other retail uses. So from a build-out condition, there's no concern from a staff level about how that's considered. We then get into the intersection design analysis itself. You see a lot of materials prepared by the applicant's team, Kimley Horn. That's all been reviewed by city staff and our consultant teams, including our professional engineer team, some of whom are here this evening. They've been reviewing that along with the diagrams that you saw this evening from the applicant in demonstrating all that turning movement. Thinking about in terms of dimensional numbers, I will point out right now that merge condition is about 200 feet long. With the proposed project, that gets extended all the way to where that left turn movement would be into the northerly driveway. We get closer to about 400 or so feet. So there's a lot more length and distance there in order to be able to maneuver it. The project includes several conditions that address these traffic improvements, including condition 36, which talks about the left turn pocket extension, 37, which talks about right turn improvements, that free right turn movement from southbound East Stockton onto westbound Grant Line towards the freeway. It goes right into an existing lane. All the movements there, as you saw in the graphics this evening, provide for the safe movements and follow the tracking dimensions for the legal vehicles that would be utilizing the area. And then finally, condition 38 talks about the East Stockton improvements. And again, you saw those a moment ago up on the screen as Mr. Becker was speaking. So those, again, have all been analyzed by our various engineering teams. We feel confident and comfortable with those moving forward this evening as conditioned. I think if there's other safety concerns around the other aspects, I'll certainly defer to the chief on those, and certainly happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Chief, could you comment on some of the safety concerns that you've heard?
For us, obviously, safety is a primary for us in the city of Elk Grove. On top of that, the technology that we have, the resources that we have in place, we have the largest staffing that we've ever had in law enforcement here in the city of Elk Grove. The concerns that have been brought up, I think, are not concerns that we haven't heard in the past when it comes to human trafficking, when it comes to drugs, when it comes to traffic in general. We have a very robust traffic plan here. We continue to improve that. We continue to add to our traffic unit. And I would say that we have the safest community, in my opinion, the safest community in this region. As things come up when it comes to public safety, we address them relatively quick. When it comes to having our officers and our vehicles in this community and very prevalent and forward-facing, we do that as well. Our concerns, at least when it comes to this particular project, aren't of the same that have been presented. Obviously, when it comes to traffic, that's something that we do continue to address. But as this project comes, we feel this is it's a project that we can manage. We can manage the traffic that comes into this community, and we will continue to manage any public safety concerns or issues as they come up.
Anybody else have questions for staff, or we'll wait till after the appellant? And okay, so we're gonna go forward here with inviting the appellant to speak. So you can come back, sir.
There's my notepad. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, again, for allowing us a good amount of time to make our appeal. Appreciate it. That is not always the case in all the jurisdictions in California, so I think you should pat yourself on the back for that. Excuse me, a little disorganized. I'd like to respond to Maverik's attorney, Ms. Sherrock, and I'm not going to cite any case law or statutes, but basically what I predicted and what I said is the MO for the city and for Maverik is what she demonstrated again. We don't have to do these analyses if we don't want to, okay? So again, no groundwater and toxics analysis has been done for this project, despite the fact that it is surrounded by sites that have been determined by the water board at one time were contaminated sites and put on GeoTracker as listed. Some of them have come off that list. As somebody who litigates these cases, Clean Water Act cases, it doesn't matter, because once they go on them, whether they're not pursued by the regional board staff, doesn't mean they're not still violating the Clean Water Act and the Porter Cologne criteria. So that still exists, but no one has looked at it. So second, on the tax, the toxic air contaminants, again, those emissions from diesel trucks that do idle when they were fueling or after it nearby have not been examined. They looked at the Sacramento Air Quality Management District's guidelines, but they have not looked at the toxics that are emitted there. So that's another hole. The third one is Again, is the traffic a congestion study? Now, we heard a little bit from Mr. Jordan, who's a community development director. I don't know if he's a traffic engineer, but we haven't seen a congestion analysis. You have a congestion plan. Sure you know what it is. I believe it's called the TCMP. You have that congestion management plan. No one's talked about it. No, we don't know if it's going to be met. We don't know if this is going to violate your own policies. Now, if it does, as I mentioned in my letter, then that also violates CEQA, because you have to determine whether a project is consistent with local general plans, local plans, and city policies. You haven't done that yet. And so those are three big gaps right now. Again, Ms. Sherrick's response from Maverik is we don't have to do that. And I just don't quite understand it, because I think that the public will want to know about this. Now, the public seems that folks that have talked here tonight do seem to be concerned about safety, and not something I'm prepared to discuss today. But I will say that the issue, is it a truck stop? Is it not? It's not clear to me, but my understanding is that the Maverik representative is right. They can't park on site and sleep there. Where are they going to sleep? Nearby, city streets. They talked about this at the Planning Commission, and I really urge you to ask staff about that. Where are those trucks that pull off 99? Where are the truck drivers going to sleep? Because that's what they do. Whether it's a truck stop or not, whether there's a diner or not, they are going to be around that community. And the issues about safety will then happen not even at the truck stop, but on city streets and residential areas. So I think that's an issue that has not been addressed. There's no study on that either. Regarding traffic, Mr. Brohard our traffic expert, made a lot of comments about this that actually reflect what appears to be the experience of a lot of people here about that intersection is horrible. And Mr. Brohard mentioned that when trucks come out of there, they're not going to be able to make those turns. The driveways aren't big enough. The shoulders are not big enough. They're going to have to go into the other oncoming lanes, or they're going to have to back up. That's going to create enormous traffic problems. Again, not studied because we don't have to, which maybe you're right. Maybe the city doesn't have to. I disagree, but that seems to be kind of a throwing down the gauntlet to my clients, and that's basically sue us. And my client is considering litigation on the subject. I did want you to know that. But again, I want to mention one more thing about, I said I wouldn't cite anything, and here I am going to go cite it. So the exemption here, section, was the CEQA guidelines 15332D, 332, is an exemption for infill. Now, I think we know what this infill exemption was really for. It's for housing. That's what the intent of the legislature was. That's what they talk about. That's what they constantly, as we know, talk about is housing. It wasn't really for what's a quasi-industrial facility. And so they made 15332 different than any other of the 40 exemptions that exist in CEQA or more. You can only use that exemption if the project would not result in any significant effects related to traffic, noise, air quality, or water quality. So that seems innocuous enough. Well, that's CEQA. Well, that basically kicks you into doing an environmental analysis, which was not done. There was no CEQA document. So basically the legislature said it's got to be something innocuous like residential housing. That type of thing typically doesn't have a lot of these impacts, except traffic sometimes and parking. But normally, but has waste contaminants, toxic air contaminants, groundwater pollution. Those are not the kind of facilities those are not the kind of impacts that are the subject of this. And if you don't do any analysis on it, then you have violated CEQA. So again, thank you for your time. I think a couple of comments about cumulative impacts. And again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody who's come out here. This sounds like a great city. People are really concerned about it.
Well, good evening again, Mayor and members of the City Council. It's been a long evening. I'll try to be very brief. As Mr. Yates was saying, we can't lose sight of the forest through the trees. An EIR needs to be done. You can only use this purported infill exemption if there are no substantial impacts on traffic. Well, consider this. If there were no impacts on traffic, why is there a condition that Grant Line be extended and widened? Why is there built into the staff report a statement that the traffic analysis incorporated future development assumptions? Now, the Council for Maverik, I'll point out a very comprehensive letter in response to the appeal. I counted 97 legal footnotes. She made a statement in her presentation, quote, that no application was submitted, therefore the exception we're arguing is not applicable. I think that's on page 13. Curiously, that's one of the few sentences not supported by a footnote because there is no such law. I think lastly, we should focus on the things that Maverik is required to do, which clearly establish an impact on traffic. There is a driveway layout for traffic. There are infrastructure improvements because of traffic. There's road widening because of traffic. There's a public easement abandonment because of traffic. And yet there's going to be application of an infill exemption because there's no substantial impact on traffic. This whole thing is internally inconsistent. Again, we simply would like to urge the City Council, just do an EIR, satisfy the community. The concern here is that there's a loophole and everybody's seizing on it, but it's obvious with, 25, 30 speakers here. By the way, I doubt that every one of the speakers in opposition to the project own gas stations, but putting that aside, listen to the community, do an EIR. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you. At this time, I will invite up the applicant, representatives of Maverik.
Thank you, Casey Shorak here again, representing Maverik. I have a couple of points in response to comments made today, and then I know that Todd Myers of Maverik has some closing words for everybody here today. In case I didn't say it before, and I think I didn't, the Maverik team and the property owner team, Reynolds and Brown, are here to answer any questions the city may have regarding CEQA, land use, transportation, the Brown Act, etc. So do feel free to request any information or ask any questions of us as you deliberate. I just want to reiterate something that has already been stated in some form or fashion. The project is consistent with the general plan. The city is the expert on its own general plan, and the city has determined that the project is consistent with its general plan, and we agree with the city. The city's environmental review of the project under this exemption determination exceeds CEQA requirements. There were multiple reports prepared by several third-party environmental consultants and city staff. They are incredibly credible. A couple of other notes, hearing some community concerns. The station will in fact include EV charging stations, so the project will have that. And as somebody pointed out, this area has historically been a fuel station area. There have been multiple gas stations here in the past that were relocated for the interchange. So this is nothing new. This is not a new type of development here in this area. And I'll turn it over to Todd Myers, but I would just respectfully request that City Council uphold the Planning Commission's approval and deny the appeal. Thank you.
Thank you for hearing this tonight. I have to tell you, I'm kind of overwhelmed with the amount of supporters. I never see supporters show up to a city council meeting, so thank you to each of you that have showed up tonight. Let's talk about these truck lanes and the truck stop talk that we've had. If you're a truck stop, what you have is you have national contracts with different trucking firms. Maverik doesn't have that. So it's more of just local drivers. We'd love to have out-of-state people, we'll definitely welcome. But it's really more local. And because of that, it changes how those lanes are used. You know, there was a reference to, well, it's just high-flow diesel. No, that's not true. Yes, there is high-flow diesel there, but there's the full offering, unleaded, supreme. You have your high quality that you'd use on your upper-end vehicles where you don't want the ethanol, such as RVs. These lanes are set up there so that, you know, if you're like me, just a couple of months ago, I was driving a U-Haul. You know what? I only filled up on those lanes because I didn't feel comfortable driving in any smaller areas. If you're a carpenter and you got your van and you have your trailer pulling behind you, this is your spot. What we've found in California, we've opened up our first 10 stores. And at these 10 stores, those truck lanes are actually used 25% of the time by RVs. And so you think about the recreational vehicles that the residents have in this town, this is offering them a spot that they can easily get around. Finally, as you think of a city, obviously the elected officials are very important. The staff is very important. There's also another element to the team. It's your committees and commissions. In this particular case, this went to Planning Commission. It was recommended for approval. And I would ask that City Council tonight would uphold their approval and to deny this appeal request. Thank you.
Thank you. Will there be any other representatives, or was that the final presenter from Maverik is you, sir?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, at this time, I will declare that the public hearing is now closed and open it up for council deliberations and direction. I'll start to the left.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple questions. Maybe I'll start with Maverik folks. I don't know who wants to answer it, but I'm just curious, when you guys acquired the property, was there any phase one site assessments that you did as part of your due diligence?
With all projects. That is the first thing. It gets ordered up the first week.
Right. Phase one was done.
And it did not
qualify
kick in.
to need a phase
Yes.
two.
Right.
Right. Thank you. That's how I understand that. I know that was I heard that from the attorney about contaminants on the soil, and I know that's one of the things that a phase one would reveal if there was a need to dig further into that. The other thing I wanted to ask of staff was, can you just run through the CEQA exemption, why you believe this qualifies for a CEQA exemption?
So the CEQA exemption, as we've talked about this evening, applies to smaller sites. They're substantially surrounded by development. In this case, it qualifies. The staff report talks about some of the policies around how we see infill development. I'd also point out that there's, I think it's graphic 4.1 in the general plan, which describes infill areas of the city versus new developing areas of the city. The site's clearly in an infill area. Surrounding development, the site has an existing structure on it. That's certainly a consideration, an indication that there's been site disturbance here, and so it's really in furtherance of that, or in that same sort of character that things are happening. You have a lot of other materials on the dais this evening regarding that and additional analysis. I'd certainly turn to my colleagues, particularly Pat Angel with Ascent, who can talk about that a little bit more if you'd like.
Yeah, okay, just a little, yeah, to hear more detail on that.
Sorry, give me a second.
Yeah.
Good evening, Council. Pat Angel, I'm a principal with Ascent. Happy to elaborate on the items. This item in regards to infill, the site was identified and qualifying for the infill. It does require that you look at and ensure you do not have traffic, which in the case of CEQA only looks at vehicle miles traveled. That was addressed. Water quality, which we identify that the project will actually result in improved water quality because it will be putting in low-impact development features into the site that currently don't exist. We did do several site visits in regards to confirm there were no biological resources out there, so it cleared on that. There was a technical study, has been mentioned, on air quality, both in regards to constructing the project, its operation, as well as whether or not there are any health effects. Please note that the nearest residence to this site is approximately 1,500 feet away on the other side of State Route 99. Diesel particulate emissions from this project wouldn't make a new health impact there. Realize, as the testimony has said, there's quite a few trucks already operating in this area. So diesel particulate's already kind of part of the base condition. The project doesn't add anything substantial in regards to that. Trying to think if there are any other, actually, there's been quite a bit of talk about contamination and some pre-existing sites in the area. While we did not review the phase one, we did look up these sites. They have been closed and remediated and documented that way on the state's portal known as GeoTracker. That information is available. So that's a circumstance where the state goes in, required some cleanup, some soil was removed, some tests were done, and at some point the state or whatever agency that was involved in that case, sometimes it's county environmental health, determined that the sites were suitably remediated and closed the cases.
Great. Thank you for that explanation.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions about?
Not from me at the moment. My colleagues may have something later on, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And I just wanted to address that. I wanted because I heard a lot of concerns, that the environmental potential harm that could be caused by this project. And I wanted to, let me back up and just also thank everyone for coming out and being engaged in this process. I'm sure all my colleagues feel the same. It's great to see our community involved and paying attention, frankly, to what's coming into the city. And this is one of those projects. But we do have a process where I promise you, all of us up here, the staff, care very much about the city. We do everything we can to protect the city and make sure safety is our paramount concern. We do this by these studies that I was referring to earlier on, and I know there's some debate about the exemption, and so I'll get to that later. But I've been listening to both sides. I met with both the appellant and the applicant, and I heard them both out. And as I look through the document, I see on page 164 of the staff report, there's a photograph of what trucks would look like in the station, and the 5 stalls on here, which would be for trucks and RVs, and then 20 of them would be for cars. And so when I see that, to me, it lends itself more towards an average fueling station that can accommodate trucks and RVs. And when I think about RVs, it brings back another decision that a previous council that I was part of had to partake on, and that is dealing with RVs parked on the street. and the room was filled similar to this, which told me how many people have RVs in this city. So that's something that's registered in my mind. There is certainly a need for that. So that isn't lost on me. Mr. Jordan, I wanted to also clarify the CUP is for the fueling stations, correct?
Yes.
So if they were in violation of the CUP, what would be our options there?
So there are a variety of conditions. I can pull them up if you'd like to go through the deal with safety and security and other factors. Businesses that are not in compliance with those conditions first get a visit from our code enforcement team. Ultimately, they're given opportunities to correct. If they don't achieve those corrections, the city's satisfaction, they'd be subject to revocation, which would come back to the original approving authority. Substantial evidence would need to be provided, and ultimately the approving authority could decide to revoke the CUP, in which case the use would have to suspend operations and shut down.
Great, thank you. So my point to that is we take measures to put stopgaps in place in the event that an applicant that comes into the city is not performing or behaving to the standards that we believe is appropriate for our residents. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, and it gets dangerous for government to choose winners and losers. So whether this is Maverik or Shell or Arco or Chevron, when we start deciding who can come in, how many of them can come in, that gets to be a slippery slope. And so Maverik or anybody else that wants to make a huge investment, and before even a stick is put in the ground, construction is made, a lot of money is put in all what you heard tonight, the engineers, the planners, the applications to the city, the attorneys that you heard tonight. There's a lot of costs that go into it. And so a company better be sure they want to take the risk in coming in anywhere. So it's a lot of it is borne on the company that and wants to invest in the community. And so again, I hesitate for our city to try to make its decision on which company it deems better or the amount of a certain company that could come in. The other thing I wanted to mention was all the concerns about traffic and especially around gas. I think about Costco when it came to town and all the stations there, and everybody was happy to have Costco come to town, but many of you weren't. The general public would not know that the council at that time would hear from residents who did not appreciate the gas stations coming in, and then a lot of those residents end up using that gas station now that it's built, and it's just what happens. I just want to just inform people that these kinds of things happen. So Costco is a big company, and they came to town, and I think most of our residents are happy that they're here. I've seen, I took note of Maverik. They have 800 facilities across 20 states. That doesn't sound like a very bad company, and I heard testimony from Maverik tonight about its employees, and so that gives me hope and confidence that they will conduct business in a manner that's worthy of our residents as well. And so I guess the final thing I'll close with is what we've heard tonight we've heard two sides. We've heard our staff and our planning commission speak, and based on the data that they've weighed and they've considered, and we've heard from the appellant tonight and their belief on how the data is insufficient. And so as a decision maker up here, and we heard several compliments tonight of our staff, and it's rightfully earned. They do good work. And I'm choosing to believe in the staff and the work that they've put in, as well as the commissioners that we appointed to make the initial decision, which they did. And so with that, I'm going to deny the appeal and support the project going forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did have a question for Christopher Jordan. Question on the air quality. How many of our, and you rough estimate, how many applicants who actually go before the city request approval or an air quality assessment to be provided by Air Quality Board?
I don't have an exact number for you this evening. It really depends on the nature of the project and some of the various factors. What I can tell you is we do see projects of all various sizes and scales. Typically, if you are doing larger scale projects, if you're doing projects with a heavier level of environmental review, you would absolutely be getting into those sort of detailed modeling analyses. In the case of this project, we do have the information provided by Ascent and around that, and so I would defer to that data as a basis for being able to move forward, and I think Mr. Angel spoke to that a little bit, so.
Perfect. And then for the, I guess what I'm kind of curious is, there's a lot of conversation with VMT, right? Prior to several I'll just flat out say it, I mean, before Maverik, right, there's the gas stations that opened up during that time, right? Was the air quality or even the VMT better or worse prior to that being opened up?
You mean specifically in this area or broadly across the city?
In that specific area.
Other gas stations that are in the area, the two most proximate would be the Arco that's cat-a-corner from the site. That dates from approximately 2007 timeframe. And then the Chevron that's on the other side of the freeway is from 2014, 2016 timeframe. Both of those would predate VMT analysis as a requirement. That didn't kick in with state guidance until about 2017 and wasn't in our general plan until 2019.
Okay. So since then, has there been anything else that we have at least allowed for the air quality to be considered within the development surrounding the specific areas?
In the broader area, some of the immediate projects I can think of, certainly we've had the Kubota project on the other side of the railroad tracks. Up that corridor, there's a Buzz Oats project that's been approved. Vulcan Materials has an approval over there. A couple of others, I don't know if Antonio, there's something else. Yeah, those are some of the larger projects we've had. Going back a bit further to 2019, I want to say, is the Amazon distribution facility or delivery facility that's further up the street from here. I don't recall if there was specific additional analysis there, but that site certainly was consistent with the general plan as an industrial site.
When Amazon came in, was there discussions about emissions or even environmental casualties with the trucks that they have?
Not that I'm immediately recalling, and no.
Okay, so there was no pushback from community saying that there was going to be a lot of vehicles or Amazon trucks potentially driving back and forth from their facility?
I mean, that site, the Amazon facility, it empties out into a separate street from the residential neighborhood. There certainly is a connection further to the back, to the northeast corner, but trucks don't go that way in order to exit out from the warehouse. They typically come down and go out southbound on East Stockton unless they're making a local delivery and would go north. So I think the circumstances are different there around those sorts of operations.
And we said how far again was the residence from where the site would be?
So I think Mr. Angel pointed out there is one house that is across the freeway. So it certainly have all those other vehicular operations that intercede in between. The next closest, the Hampton Oaks subdivision, I believe is about 3,200 feet to the north. As the crow flies, a little bit longer distance by travel.
Perfect. Thank you. And then I'm going to switch over to public safety. And public safety, I think, Chief, I couldn't agree with you more that we are the safest city, I believe, in the region because of law enforcement. We've heard a lot even prior for the Sky River Casino opening up that it was going to bring a lot of crime. The crime rates were going to go up high. Do you think that because of another gas station, there would be higher crime rates?
No, I don't believe that would be the case in this situation.
Is there surrounding, now, I'm not sure about this answer, but is there gas stations that also share their security cameras with Elk Grove PD in that specific area?
Typically, if there's any type of investigation, we do have that ability. We obviously would welcome the ability to have greater or quicker access, and it sounds like that's a possibility here. Obviously, with the real-time information center that we have, all in the capability to also be at any site within our city within a 2-minute window, that would be a great tool for us. And again, usually if something happens, we have access. It's not immediate unless we make some arrangement with that company.
Okay, thank you. I think those are all the questions I have for you.
Thank you. Councilmember Brewer?
So from a traffic aspect, we were focused so much on this potential application in site. But looking at the traffic mitigation issues in and around that corner, that northern corner of East Ogden Boulevard and Grant Line Road, has there been any discussion or studies that looks at possibly widening that particular juncture, given the 5-lane bottleneck that is there? Because you have 2 lanes that merge into one going northbound. You have 3 lanes, one that turns left that goes west so it can merge into the highway or go westbound, one that goes straight with the potential of going left so you can go east, and then you have one that just goes east exclusively. And knowing that you have some businesses to the east end of East Ogden Boulevard at that corner, has there been any discussion or any sort of studies that show to a potential of doing any sort of potential widening, given that you're going to have potentially a new business at that corner, which also lends to potential opportunity of widening that particular stretch?
Yeah, so there was an analysis prepared for the project. What it identifies is the necessity for extension of those northbound receiving lanes. Again, as I mentioned earlier, going from about 200 feet of distance before that merge is forced upon you. You have to go into the merge essentially right as you come into that north leg of the intersection, and that gets extended out to essentially the 400 or so feet before that left turn pocket would then provide access into the center. So it gives you a lot more opportunity for those sort of adjustments to happen, and sets up the clarity that through traffic is in that outside lane. And so vehicles that are coming from eastbound Grant Line to northbound East Stockton would be able to sort of make that choice as you're in the respective left turn pocket, to be able to be in that appropriate lane. And so if you were not going into the Maverik development, you would be able to stay in the outside lane and not have to fight any of those sort of merge or weave conditions. The other analysis identified here is certainly the widening of that intersection on the project frontage itself and providing the dedicated exclusive right turn condition that is a free right turn, so there is not traffic backing up in that lane. It reduces the congestion in that direction to essentially zero by having that sort of receive directly into Grant Line Road, and then from there you can choose to either merge to the right in order to go northbound 99 or stay in that lane, go over the structure, and then get into southbound 99, or you have plenty of distance then to make a merge if you're trying to continue on to Camera Road or Promenade or any other directions on the other side of the freeway. So yes, we've analyzed that. There's materials provided in the packet to discuss it, and so we believe it addresses the traffic concerns of that area. Certainly, there are existing conditions that exist out there, not necessarily the project's responsibility to address all of those things. And again, the general plan speaks to the condition of the road in general plan build-out terms as a 2-lane facility. That was identified and incorporated into the general plan in 2019. And there's been we've talked about that a little bit this evening. And so from that perspective, the project remains consistent.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. And with the public safety part, I know Chief Davis, based on the Vice Mayor's question on the safety aspect, you have cameras inside the 4 walls of the facility. You have cameras on the outside of the perimeter of the facility. And I'll ask the question again, do the other gas stations nearby have something similar set up? And do they have an agreement with PD to have the access into their cameras should something occur at any of those facilities?
I can't speak to the agreements with all of them. Anytime we have any type of situation that comes about, we typically are able to access their cameras, meaning that they either provide it to us there or we use a legal system to get the video or images that we're looking for. It makes a significant difference, I would say, for us if we have access, if we have that immediate access when the incident occurs, because as we respond, we can respond accordingly based on what we're seeing in real time. So for us, that would be significant. If that was a factor here, we would encourage that.
And as a resident of Hampton Village, that's directly right there at that spot, I definitely hear fire engines, police units, when they're in the vicinity or across the highway. It's a quiet place when you get past 11 p.m. But I think the more important part, the police yard is literally a block away from where I live. And so any sort of safety definitely is covered, and never have to worry about that. Because anything that happens beyond 2 o'clock is nothing good results from that. And you have to have that presence. It's just inevitable. But that was one of my main concerns. So as I've seen the project from its very inception, or at least when it came to my attention, I had grave concerns. I had neighbors who had grave concerns. And I just had to be better educated on it and be better informed. Talk to all sides, literally all sides. And it's a conversation that I actually forced with the public. It's like, hey, what do you think about this? Because I don't know anything about this. What I do know is what I don't know. So please educate me on it. And I heard from everyone. And I think the more compelling things that I've seen and heard over the last few weeks, especially learning from police, learning from city staff, learning from all sides, but really looking at the studies, what you've seen with your own eyes, and what you have on it based on the general plan was very helpful. It gave me a lot more comfort because I was at a hard no. And then I was like, it's kind of hard for me to vote no. Because after you've seen all the benefits that Maverik can present in that area, and after talking to several of my neighbors who are in truck driving, some of them who are avid travelers, they can't speak more positively about a Maverik experience, which is very interesting because I never really hear that about gas stations. I never hear that about fueling stations. One other thing, too, is how many EV fueling station or zero-emission vehicle fueling stations are going to be at this station? Because I don't think it's just a regular 4 or 5.
I believe it's 5.
It's 5? I thought it was more.
I'd have to defer to my staff. Is there a higher number? Let the applicant confirm.
And hopefully it's a little bit of ZEV neutrality and not just exclusively to Tesla.
Yeah, so we have, there'll actually be, they come in groups of 2, 4 or 6, but we have the capacity to expand to 10. So we'll have conduit and everything ready for 10, but you'll have 4 or 6 fired up. And that's another additional thing that we are working through with staff to finalize that.
Okay.
Is that all right?
No, that's helpful because we're starting to see more electric vehicles. We're starting to see more brands that have different charging apparatus and different ways to fuel. I know Tesla has the be more adaptable in the other plugs, but if you have ones that are just applicable to each style, whether it be Volkswagen/Electrify America or Nissan or any of the other brands, it's always good to have that extra ability because you have more than just one brand coming in and fueling up as they're doing their travels. Range anxiety is a very important thing for a lot of different people. And so we want to provide that ability to provide something for everyone in that respect.
Thank you, Councilman, for that advice, and we'll carry it on, and obviously we'll be working with staff for that too. Thank you.
But I appreciate everyone for being here and having this healthy debate because, like I said, very good projects and very worthy projects are never slam dunks. They're always involved with heavy, serious, meaningful discussion. And so I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilmember Spies.
So thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank Council Members Suen, Robles, and Brewer because I think they've picked all the meat off the bones here. So they left me with one editorial that I swore to myself that I wasn't going to make. I'm really sad to see the fear, the purposeful, repeated dissemination of false claims to residents in an effort to stoke fear. There have been folks who have been purposefully misleading residents, and I don't take kindly to that. So with that, I move to adopt a resolution denying the appeal and affirming the Planning Commission's approval of the conditional use permit and minor design review for the Maverik fueling station and convenience store project.
Second.
Okay, I still have to deliberate, but
Oh,
thank you.
sorry, Mayor. He said we took all the meat off the
You
bones.
did, so I will try not to be repetitive, but very thoughtful comments from all of you. And, you know, when I took the oath of office for mayor, I swore to uphold what was in the best interest of the city of Elk Grove. Not any one business or any one community, but for Elk Grove. And I take that obligation seriously. You know, I share with you, Councilmember Spies, that I'm disgusted by the misleading information to the community. It's disingenuous. It's uncalled for. Let's just stick to the facts. And misleading a community with gross intent, we heard from even Mr. Mark Jansen of how he was brought into this conversation. I mean, that's just inappropriate. He is a pillar in our community with the LDS Church, and it's unacceptable. This man works very hard every day to uplift our community, and to bring him into this conversation, it's just wrong. I watched the Planning Commission meeting. I've read the material. I even went so far as calling my mayors, my fellow mayors who have a Maverik gas station in their city to get their input. And it was very simple. They love Maverik. Their citizens love Maverik. They have no issues with Maverik. So some of this fear-mongering of what they bring or what they might bring, you know, I take gross offense to that. You're out of line, sir. Go back. Thank you. I take particular offense when there are attacks or insinuations that truck drivers bring crime, drugs, and prostitution. That's unfortunate and unacceptable. They are good, honest, working men and women in the trucking industry, and to attack their livelihood that they are bringing in nefarious activities is just wrong. So I take offense to that. This is not a truck stop. This is not a truck stop. This is not a truck stop. We've heard it from staff. We've heard it from Maverik. We've seen the reports. There's really no clear way to communicate that. So I'm sorry that a lot of folks saw misleading information. It is unfortunate. This part of Elk Grove is a major corridor. You're going to see a lot more development in the near future. A lot more. There will be more gas stations. The casino will be building a gas station, and that's on sovereign land. There's a lot more coming because that is what that part of Elk Grove is built for, is going to be for. You know, we are a city that is welcome to all. We want to be a city that attracts business from out of state, from out of country. And that is why Kubota, a multinational company, came to the city of Elk Grove. We don't just close our doors for business. We welcome businesses into our community. I think the questions regarding congestion and public safety have been thoroughly addressed, and also by the applicant. With cameras, 50 to 80 cameras per location, that's quite remarkable. So I think that those concerns, and hearing from our police chief, I feel comfortable about that. This location is 0.7 miles from a house, from houses, your community, 0.9 miles from a park. There's sufficient buffers from this corner to our residents as well as parks. So I want to thank everybody for coming, everyone, whether you supported or opposed the project. A healthy discussion makes for a good decision for your city. As passionate as you are tonight, whether you supported or opposed Maverik, we encourage that kind of civic engagement on all projects, because we are working hard here as your representatives to build a beautiful city. And that includes all of you having an active role and participating, whether you agree or disagree with the ultimate outcome. So I want to thank you all. We did hear a motion and a second. So at this time, I will call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So the motion passes as it is stated here, adopting the resolution denying the appeal and affirming the Planning Commission's approval of the conditional use permit and minor design review for the Maverik Fueling Station and Convenience Store project. With that, we will go on to our next item, 8.2.